Okay. We should be live.
Are we live?
We should be live.
Should be. There's never any guarantee. Oh, I love this thumbnail.
Thank you.
Yeah, this one's really good.
Okay, looks like we are live.
Open up live chat. Where's live chat? Up here.
Open up the
I think it just
stream.
appears there.
Live chat. Pop out live chat. Put that over there.
Live?
We should be live.
Should be.
Okay.
There's never any.
How's the audio,
I love
everybody?
this thumbnail.
Thank you. How's it sounding? I am listening to it. It sounds fine to me, but just to make sure.
Is it good?
Okay, looks
Is
like
it
we
good?
are live.
Open up.
Is it
live
good?
chat.
Seems good to me. All
All right,
right, what are
cool.
we up to? If you're not live, where am I? You are in the chat of a live stream that happened 2.5 minutes ago. So you can enjoy talking with the ghosts, which is all the internet's going to be here in a bit. What a coincidence, I was just putting a mommy Tomoe figure on my shelf. Did you saw the head off, like a good little person? A good little
Like
insert your
as is-
gender here.
As is tradition.
Mm-hmm. Audio's good. Guys, Leo the 7th is in chat.
Oh,
You need to do a couple of updates.
Oh, hi, Curry.
Curry.
Hello. Yuri. Yeah.
hello,
Yuri.
hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going? Now that we have
Hi,
another friend in the chat, I need to update. Yeah, hold on here. Update where I've put my things. There it goes. Right. Like that. For some reason, when I do Discord stuff, Streamlabs refuses to let me use my webcam in Discord. I have to overlay it like a freak.
Real.
So I'll just put that there. Make it a little bit bigger. YouTube chat, how's everyone doing today? I absolutely love to hear that. So, welcome to the Explanation Point Anime Club. This month we have a special one. We all asked last month, what anime do you want to talk about with all your heart and soul? And we all picked shows that we enjoyed, that we thought would make for a good little discussion about something that didn't get enough love. And then James said, Puella, Magi, Madoka, Magica. And we said, okay. I mean, I'll put out a poll. And now Jams isn't here.
Jam's not even here.
They're gonna be here later, I'm sure. They would never miss this.
No, Jams would never.
Thinking about Bebe and being unwell. What's wrong with Bebe? Just reminds me of Schitt's Creek. What's wrong with the baby?
Can I also just... The fact that Jams isn't here, even though they went crazy.
Fucking
absolutely ballistic, yes! In
Endearing.
the chat. Like, it was, like, normally I read the chat, and there's, like, 50 messages on a good show. There's, like, 180 messages in
From
there.
Jams
and it's, like,
alone.
Seriously?
walls of text, like walls and paragraphs of
We
text,
have
all
multiple
from Jams.
essays about Madoka in our Discord. If any of you would like to go to patreon.com/explanationpoint and find out how you can join our Discord so that you can read those yourself. So hello, you all know who I am. I am Explanation Point. I played Steve in the Minecraft movie. We are here today with a couple of my adoring patrons. Up above me here, I am pretty sure that's Tenik. That is Tenik.
Yes, I'm Kyubey's strongest soldier.
Yes.
I have one mission here today. It's to defend Kyubey and say why he did nothing wrong.
I agree. Let's just get that out of the way here. Kyubey did nothing wrong. Kyubey did some things wrong, but overall, Kyubey was completely justified.
He did violate consent, but
Given
You
the
know.
circumstances, I think that's fine.
yeah.
We have Curry. Curry, I forget. I'm
Curie.
so sorry. Curry.
Curie.
Curie?
As in curiosity.
Curie.
Ah! Curie up here. And over here, to my this direction, we've got Tom.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about one of the most influential anime of all time, Puella, Magi, Madoka, Magica from winter 2011. This is one of, I think, about 5 anime that I've given a 9 out of 10 on, Mal. I think that it is very nearly perfect. I think that its flaws are mostly just seen as flaws because of how far we've come since then because of this show. Like the Seinfeld isn't funny syndrome.
Mm.
But Seinfeld
I
is
still
funny.
think it's really excellent
It
overall,
is.
though, because like I keep on introducing it to people just because some people I know don't know anything about it, and their fresh reactions are always just like absolute adoration for the series. So
Well, this show is where the 3-episode test comes from, which
Yeah,
I've always found
yeah.
very interesting that actually had an origin.
I didn't realize it was actually from Madoka.
So yes and no. The
Oh,
3-episode
more.
test was a thing before, but Madoka is what like was widespread about it.
Mhm.
Madoka was the thing that like actually, put pedal to the metal and was like, hey everybody, at least get to episode 3. But Madoka is very special because of its 3rd episode.
Mhm.
And I think the rule is overdone because of Madoka, but that's besides the point.
Yeah,
No, go ahead.
I do remember when I first watched Madoka, the only thing I knew about it was episode 3.
Yeah, and I think that's a great viewing experience.
Because like it's something's gonna go wrong, and then it's just
The only thing you
like,
knew
it's-
were the words episode 3, or you knew what happened in episode 3?
the words.
Okay.
I just knew
That
something
is
was
very
wrong
fun.
with episode 3.
I love that.
It was just like, what the hell is this
Mm.
going
Like,
on? And
The concept.
like,
Yeah,
I
where
hear
is
it gets
this going?
dark, but I'm not sure what variation.
starts
of dark. 'Cause
dark.
There's a lot of darks. Yeah, I know. It was kind of funny because of that. Because I was just like, this doesn't seem like the most happy show.
Like
the
Mariah and I were
opening,
talking about that, is that the show never hides what it is.
Yeah, no,
like,
definitely not.
It sort of, it gives the sense that it might have happy elements, and it kind of does. But it never says that it's not going to be extremely dark. Like,
I would agree and disagree to some extent. I mean, the fact that there is a different ending for the first 2 episodes into the ending where it's clearly, obviously, the vibe shifts. Like that is that's a blatant misdirect. Like the show is trying to hide something from
I
you.
disagree.
And also, I think this is also outside of the show itself, but at the time, the marketing on this show went fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Like
I don't doubt that.
the writers themselves, like Gen Urobuchi, who wrote the script, right?
Brilliant man.
He was on Twitter, like being like, "No, like,
I do
it's
remember
just,
this.
We're doing something different. We're doing like a kind of like just like a cutesy type of thing."
What
And
else
then
did
episode 3 hits, and he's like,
Urobuchi
"Oh my
do?
god, I'm so glad." He did stuff like Sayano Uta. He did he did
Fate
Psychopath.
Zero.
He literally did Psychopath. Oh yeah, he did Fate
Fate
Zero.
Zero.
Psychopaths,
And
right?
Psychopaths. But that was also basically the same year, though, is the thing. But he was
Fate
mostly,
Zero was
at least the anime. Like, so something funny with Gen Urobuchi in Madoka is that he was hidden from the cast list, and then it leaked, and then he had to come out and say, "Oh, I'm doing something happy this time," because nobody believed him.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I do remember the Twitter thing. Like, yeah, I just wanted to try something a little different, guys, and I didn't want people to get all like up in arms about me being on the cast list and start speculating like you're doing now.
Yeah.
Because you'd figure it out.
I also think to the fact that like because like Madoka Fate Zero and Psychopaths all came out around the same time. Like Psychopaths was like a year later than those two, right? I think it's really interesting to see the trend in his writing from that time period, and how he like constructs characters and also constructs like character dynamics and just like main characters in general. I think all of his main characters have like a really specific trend of like being kind of like apathetic and wishy-washy and undirectional, or just like following what other people are telling them, and the growth is coming from them making their own decisions and their own choices and doing stuff.
I agree that
think
the growth
Madoka
comes
is
from their own decisions and choices, but I would never call Tsunemori
Yeah, I was
undirectional.
about to say.
well,
no,
She's very
she was-
ideologically driven.
she's
Yeah,
very
and also-
ideologically driven, but she joins the what the fuck is the police force called, the MSCP or whatever the fuck.
Sure.
She joins that just because. She joins that on a whim.
It was
Right, she
because her
doesn't join
aptitude
it-
test told her to, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes.
It said that she was the best. She could go anywhere she wanted. That was what it said. That's why what made her one of the special ones was because her aptitude test told her, hey, you could basically do whatever you want. We're not giving you a specific path. And she went into the police force because she was like, this might be
Right,
something cool or
I'm
good,
sorry.
right?
I feel like James is trying to say something, but
Oh.
they're just not.
No.
getting it through.
Hi,
is
I
James here?
think
Welcome.
hi.
Oh,
What's up, Jams?
I did not mean
Welcome to the
be
anime.
late. Hi. This week has been kicking my ass, so I'm very glad to be here.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your
real.
ass, but I'm happy that you're here.
Woo!
We were just very affectionately making fun of you for the many essays that you wrote in chat.
Hey.
So we're talking a little bit about Gen Urobuchi and his other work, Psychopaths and Fate Zero, and I haven't seen Fate Zero.
That's his name.
But now that I'm thinking about Psychopaths in relation to Madoka and how they were both written by the same person, I can definitely see a lot of similarities in the character writing and the story structure. Because this is a guy who clearly
fascinating.
likes
I
a
was
very
thinking
tight
about
story.
Kamen Rider Gaim.
I
He
also
also
have
directed Kamen Rider Gaim, I remember.
Yeah.
And I watched that with my cousin. And it was really funny when, like, she said to me, like, yeah, I think the solution to the plot ends up being the main character becomes God. And I'm like, that's just Madoka Magica.
Again?
And she was like,
yeah. Also, another thing is that we talk about Fate Zero like it happened immediately before Madoka. Technically, the book was released like 2004 or something. You know.
Sure, I've never interacted with Fate in any way.
Yeah.
think the book had a different plot though. I mean, it had the same plot, but it had a different script. He's specific, and also
Yes.
didn't he write the book too, or am I mistaken about that?
He did write the book. The book is not as good as the anime, I should say.
Well, he's more primarily a TV writer, so I'm not that surprised.
Yeah. No. There's an entire line that one of my friends likes to point out where Kiritsugu eats a burger because it is the most violent thing he can think of to eat. because it's slaughtering these animals and grinding them up, and so this is the most violent food he can do because that's all he deserves.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So back to Madoka specifically, because I
Yeah.
feel like we are just going to talk about this for 3 hours with absolutely no structure and still have 3 hours worth of stuff to say. But with Madoka specifically, I was talking about how important it was. And obviously it was not the first magical girl show of its kind. You have stuff like Revolutionary Girl Utena and Princess Tutu that came out before Madoka. But Madoka was the one that really popularized this genre of dark magical girl shows. It had so many imitators, and I'm curious, everybody, what your favorite Madoka knockoff is.
ooh, Madoka knockoff.
Yeah, what is your favorite
Are we
show
being-
that isn't Madoka but would like to be?
Are we talking knockoff as in it has to be a magical girl show?
I guess not. I was thinking so, but what did you have in mind?
I'm just asking just because like I'm having trouble thinking of knockoffs that I would compare to it.
Well,
the closest I can think of is
There's
go
Yuki
ahead.
and
Is-
Hero, there's Magical Girl Site, there's Magical Raising Project. Those are the three
There are
that,
so
I,
many.
that I can think of off the top of my head.
because I'm very
Yeah.
fond of Magical Girl Raising Project. I love Death Games, and I think that show actually had a little bit of heart. It was trying to do a bit more than just be Madoka again, and of course, there is a big soft spot in my heart for Magical Girl Sight, which is a terrible television program.
Yeah.
Yuki Yuna as a hero is garbage. I'm
It is
sorry,
an
Jam.
awful
I
show,
tried.
But it's also the only
I-
one that I've seen.
I really tried with Yuki Yuna.
Mhm.
I had a friend who really liked it, and it's just like it's kind of boring and.
Everyone
it
in YouTube chat,
feels
you can answer
by
this
the
question
numbers.
too if you have a favorite Madoka knockoff.
I'm trying to
Mhm.
find.
Does nobody have an
think
answer to this? That's amazing to me.
I mean, look,
Well,
Brian, I gotta be real with you.
Mhm.
I've seen less magical girl shows than I have fingers on a single hand.
Okay.
Like this is the extent of my ignorance. So I mean, as well, when people talk about how like Madoka subverts the magical girl genre, that's something I only know secondhand.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I would argue Madoka Magica is not a deconstruction even a little bit.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. Oh my God.
I can
Go
agree
ahead,
with that.
I
It is
just
That's
think
interesting.
that-
it
It's
I
Guys.
can agree with that. It's just because like the like it is but it isn't, because the popular conception of what a magical girl show is often not what magical girl shows are.
Okay.
So
Guys,
it's
all
kind
right.
of
I'm out.
Like, do you
Time out.
remember?
When we talk about deconstruction, right? Because Madoka is like not even anywhere close, right? When we talk about deconstruction, I think people take the word subvert and they really mean deconstruction. Madoka subverts your expectations by being dark, but it does not deconstruct anything. It does not ask a question about magical girls. It does not make a statement on the genre and pick it apart in the way that actual deconstructions like Utena does, right? So the word deconstruction, which was like the most overused word in the 2010s, like everything was a deconstruction. Fucking One Punch Man was a deconstruction, and you're like, what the fuck, guys? Like, what are we talking about?
Now,
And
hold
that's
on.
I could not figure out what on earth people meant when they said deconstruction every time it popped up anywhere. I was just like, you're using this to describe things that seem to just sort of be clever, question mark.
I'm not saying I disagree with this overall statement. I disagree with what Tom said, which is that Madoka is not taking the magical girl genre and taking a core tenet of it and asking an interesting question about that core tenet. Magical girl shows are a feminine answer to Sentai heroes. This is Power Rangers for girls. That's why they were made. So
Okay.
a core
Yes and
part,
no.
a core part of the genre is being a hero, saving people. Madoka says, what is that really like for the heroes? This isn't a Saturday morning cartoon. It's saying, what is heroism really, and what is the cost of it on an individual level?
Okay, but to say that that was not a thing that other magical girls did previously, and to say that like, oh, the reason why Madoka is a deconstruction is
Thank you,
because shows
HV.
had not done that previously. I mean, that's not the case. You can literally look at Akiyuki Shinbo's other work. He did
Nanoha.
lyrical Nanoha. Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. Nanoha is not now. Is Nanoka as, you know,
Nano is
I guess
Nanoka.
the ma-
yeah.
Is
That the
it as-
first season of Nanoha is so bad.
Is
It's
it as
so bad.
thematically dark as, or even, you know, relatively like as what's the word I'm looking for? Like the tone of it is the same as Madoka, but the presentation is not. The direction is
Mhm.
not, right? But
I-
even going back, like Go Nagai's Cutie Honey, like that's considered one of the first magical girl shows, is filled with nudity and violence and darker tones. Like, to say that no magical girl show had ever done what Madoka had done, I think that's part of my problem with the community around Madoka. Is
Nobody
that they
said
don't
that.
know.
I actually
No,
said
that's not
the
what I'm
opposite of that. But what
I'm
I
not
will
saying
say
that you
is
said
that an idea doesn't have to never have been done before to be a deconstruction. There can be multiple deconstructions to the point where, and I would argue that this has happened, the deconstruction becomes the genre. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
like if you look
see
at
so
if you
many
look at the
people
state of
lament
magical girl
this
media
exact
today,
thing.
like it's mostly Madoka ripoffs.
Yeah.
Like,
I would not say that.
of course
I
I'm
think there's a-
exaggerating.
Yeah,
but
I think
like,
there's a very big prevalent, but like you still have like Precure, like which is like the most popular magical girl like
sure,
property
but we're
around.
still getting into this all or nothing thinking. Like, there can be more than one show that questions the conventions of its genre. Like, it's like
I would argue
Ziesel
that-
said in chat here, like Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura, they both get into the question that I say is at the heart of why people call Madoka a deconstruction. Sailor Moon and Sakura both have plenty of moments where their personal lives suffer for their being heroes. Like, again, one of the things about magical girl shows is that they have this secret double life they can't tell anybody about. There are parts of their life that will inherently be impossible to understand for normal people, and that is a sacrifice that you make to be abnormal. Madoka takes that, and it makes it the core of the show. It says, what are the consequences of this sacrifice for people who make it? And I think that that is a deconstructive question in a genre about heroism. Like, again, we don't need to take this all or nothing. We don't need to say Madoka is the first deconstruction, it is the only deconstruction, it has no elements. We don't need to say that it has no elements that are typical of magical girl shows.
No, but what, like, I think to the point of, like, the deconstruction has become the genre, then it is no longer a deconstruction.
Sure,
It
but that's
is
not
just
Madoka's
the
fault.
genre.
That's not wrong.
No, but what I'm saying is that there were things that happened before Madoka to make it so that this was a common theme in the genre. Now Madoka obviously popularized it to the nth degree, right? Like, it went crazy. But just because, like, it was the most popular, like we don't necessarily say that, like, Naruto popularized things in shonen because, like, hey, there's thousands of other shonen that came before it, and honestly, or even, like, here's a better example, Dragon Ball, right? Dragon Ball did do a lot to introduce things to the genre, many things to introduce to the genre, but it didn't do everything for the genre. There were still tons of staples that Dragon Ball borrowed from other stuff, that, like, became the genre. Like, going back and saying, hey, the past doesn't matter, only, not saying that that's what anybody here is saying, obviously, but, like, saying, like, the past doesn't matter and what popularized it is the only thing that matters, I think is, I don't know, I just think it's wrong. I just don't agree with that.
Again, I don't think anybody is saying that popularizing is the only thing that matters. I am talking about Madoka as a piece of media, regardless of how well known it is, just clearly has an agenda to look at the archetype of a magical girl show, regardless of how accurate that archetype is in the specific, and to take parts of that and dissect them in ways that are not typical of the genre, at least not all in one package like this. Nobody is saying that these things have not been done before. Nobody is saying that these questions have not been asked before, just that this show specifically made it a point to ask them as part of its core principles.
Yeah, I guess because, like, my mind, this is just me personally because I'm a freak about it. Spider-Man I always think about Spider-Man first when we're talking about, like, hero deconstruction, because that's essentially what Madoka is. It's, like, the same general, like, idea and vibe. But, like, the amount of things that came out of a character like Spider-Man that came into the superhero genre itself, like, originally Spider-Man was a deconstruction, but you wouldn't even call it that back in the 70s, right? It was just a superhero, but now it is, and I think looking back at a lot of things in the magical girl genre, I kind of just think, I don't know, maybe we're missing the forest for the trees on a lot of conversations about Madoka. That's my point. Because, like, again, look, I mean, at the time, maybe you could have called it a deconstruction. I don't think so. but like just to ask questions about the genre, but like how do I want to say this? Asking questions about the genre in a way that's like doing something different as opposed to picking apart the genre, like the way Utena transforms, quote unquote transforms in Revolutionary Girl Utena. Like they take out the long ass transformation scenes, and what does she do? She walks up a flight of stairs for 20 minutes. Right? Like that's actually
and then
saying
later,
something.
like in the later stage, she goes up an elevator.
Yeah, and then she goes up an elevator, right? That's her getting
And-
stronger, right?
And then
That's
pulls
sa-
out a sword.
Yeah.
So, you know.
That's saying something. That's doing something creative with the genre and saying, isn't this a little silly? Right? But still doing it with enough like actual passion behind the ideas there to give it like some gravitas and make it important.
I know you're not saying that there's no passion in Madoka.
No. That's not what I'm saying. No.
You're
I would
about to
never.
get banned
Dude,
from
okay.
my Patreon.
No.
That's one thing.
Guys, literally, Akiyuki Shinbo is my favorite director. Like, there was never a point where I was not going to like this show. I just don't like it as much as everybody else.
I think when I initially said that, like, I don't think Monica is a deconstruction, what I meant was, like, it's like, in my mind, like, a deconstruction has to make me, like, fundamentally question the tenets of the, like, as you said, like, it has to make me, the audience, question the tenets of a magical girl show. And Monica Magica doesn't do that beyond me going, wait a minute, yeah, the fact that, like, because, like, so many magical girl shows center around the acquisition of energy from the populace, TM. And they asked, okay, so what if we took the concept of we are gathering energy and made that as literal as possible? They are gathering emotional energy. Emotions are now an energy source. We have world built this into existence. It's like by making everything like just the littlest bit more literal, they have like world built something that cannot quite be anything but a magical girl concept, and that's really cool to me. But that's like the closest it ever gets to like taking the genre itself apart.
Well, I disagree with that too.
Using it weird.
I think you're being a little bit too literal and straightforward there, because if you look at this idea of gathering energy as a metaphor in the way that I'm going to say this right up front, I'm not particularly familiar with other magical girl shows. Maybe that's obvious from the things that I'm saying. But from my understanding and my brief time watching Sailor Moon as a 5-year-old, I understand that gathering energy from the populace and getting this this very literal power up from the will of the people is eaten into by Madoka by making it more of an individualistic thing, because we go back to what Kyubey is actually doing, and that's taking all of the energy from a singular person, making it bad instead of good, and getting a good effect from that for everyone who does not know what's going on. The knowledgeable suffering of a single person leads to the ignorant prosperity of everyone else. And that is the opposite of what happens in a magical girl show. That I think you're saying happens in a magical girl show, I should say. Because it feels like you're saying that the active love of everyone else leads to the active prosperity of the magical girl.
That's no, not exactly. It's like
I
there's a
wouldn't
lot of
even
things
say
where like
that.
the villain is attempting to gather energy and like from people. Like the villain is attempting to take like in Tropical Rouge Pretty Cure, it's like the Witch of Delays. She wants the motivation energy TM of people, which is to say that like they constantly, each episode they go to like a new like flavor of person, essentially being like, yes, the motivation energy of someone of like a sports team, and then they like attack them, and the magical girls are like, no, don't do that. And like it's like this idea that like energy is essentially just anything someone cares about is like a thing that like sort of like comes through in a lot of different magical girl things, where it's like your energy is like just your ability to do shit. And and so it's like your ability to do a shit, your ability to give a fuck, and so it's like when the incubators are like gathering energy from specifically magical girls, they are taking like they have to the world building around the incubators itself is like it could be construed as a deconstruction, or it could be construed as like a like a 5 steps forward logical conclusion. And like I guess my thing is, would you consider Watchmen a deconstruction? Because I think it's supposed to be, right?
Isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Right,
Watchmen
yeah.
is.
Okay, so in my brain, I think Madoka Magica is to the magical girl genre what Watchmen was to superhero comics in the 90s, or was it the late 80s? You know what I mean? Where like
I don't.
Watchmen came
I've
out
never
from
seen it.
superhero comics fundamentally changed.
That makes sense.
And like in my head, it's like Madoka Magica is not doing things as differently for the magical girl genre as Watchmen was doing for the superhero comics situation. But it is doing it just differently enough that people's gears started turning. And I think my thing with saying that it's not a deconstruction is that the questions that it's asking are not necessary. Like they're not like this questions Watchmen was asking was very like it. The title itself is based on who watches the Watchmen, and it's based on like this idea of like if you had this much phenomenal cosmic power and you didn't have like an emotional core in you saying like putting like humans and human life like at the top of it consciously constantly, then what would happen if like just like people who were like fundamentally like way more powerful than a normal human just kind of like eventually had a little too much control over what was going on the planet. And in that, and it's like with Madoka Magica, it follows the structure of a magical girl show so closely that it feels strange to call it a deconstruction. It's just like the magical girl show used as a vehicle to tell a story that magical girl shows have not told in that specific way before, but it keeps referencing so many like normal usual things to the magical girl show and saying so we're using that to say this, and that's the thing that makes it different from other magical girl shows, but I don't necessarily think it deconstructs the genre.
I think the problem here
Can
is
I
that
be-
the definition of a deconstruction is a bit too vague.
Yeah.
That is also-
Okay, yeah, that's it.
I mean, especially over the years, my God, it's become as muddied as possible. But my thing about Madoka has always kind of been, I think Madoka is a show that, even though these are things that happened in other magical girl shows before Madoka, right? I think Madoka leaned really hard into introducing like shonen elements into a magical girl show, which is it necessarily unique? Not necessarily, but it is pushed to a degree where it's so unexpected that it catches so many people off guard. And I think we were talking about it earlier, right? The concept of episode 3, just episode 3, nothing else, right? There's such shock value to Madoka that it catches people off guard. And I think they miss out on the fact that like magical girls are a very like, it's a varied genre. Like there's tons of things that are happening in a lot of them. Now, are a lot of them like generic? Yeah, absolutely. But I think Madoka just introduces like gruesome, like the type of gruesome death that you would typically see in a shonen. And people go, whoa, this is crazy. This has never been done by a magical girl show before. When, I mean, to the extent that Madoka does it, it hadn't. Like, mommy gets decapitated. I don't know. I don't know any other magical girl show that went that hard that fast.
Magical Girl Sight.
I mean, before Madoka. Before, come on. Yeah, I think we take those elements and we throw them into magical girls, and people are caught off guard because their perception of the genre is completely different. But without actually knowing what the genre is about.
I think it could be argued that Madoka Magica could be a deconstruction of the common perception of what a magical girl show is, even if that isn't necessarily true. Also,
addressing some kind of phantom that exists in the collective consciousness and isn't actually realized that frequently in like the anime sphere.
Yeah.
Which is why I mentioned the archetype of a magical girl show.
Yeah.
Right, but I do wish to like anchor down this a bit because I feel like a lot of it is going over my head because I'm not like that familiar with other magical girl shows. So let's just stop for a moment and try and list everything aside from mommy dying in episode 3 that could be considered like subversive or deconstructive, anything like that.
Sayaka.
Like anything.
Oh,
Sayaka's entire plotline.
She gets the short end of the stick.
Sayaka's entire arc.
Why why do magical girls have to fight these monsters besides they're just killing people, That also is a question to ask.
Yeah, Wandering Shadow brings up the fetishization of suffering, both by the show itself and by Kyubey.
Kyubey?
The suffering being a goal in itself.
Something about the samsara.
The obliteration of the protagonist?
No, that's actually a common thing in my
Sure, I'll take your
drawing.
word for it. I don't know. I'm just bringing it up.
I mean, what about
You remember
the show
when we watched the last
randomly,
episode of Nurse
like,
Angel
last
Rebecca?
Yo, we did. That is actually exactly like that, honestly.
I missed what this is exactly
That's a very
like.
normal magical girl show, honestly.
Remember when we watched the magical nurse show?
The what?
The magical nurse show?
Yes. We watched one episode of some random-ass crazy show from the 80s on a stream
90s.
one time. It was insane. They knew how to party back then.
However you put it, the death or the obliteration of the main character that literally happened in that episode.
No, fair enough. You're right. I withdraw my
logical
obliteration of the protagonist.
Yeah, this was a
Like
thing.
Sailor Moon dies at least 3 different times.
Is Kyoko a normal type of character in Magical Girls? Yes?
No.
Yes.
No?
No, I think
Kind of.
she is.
Like she's like
So we
there
can't
is like
even have
the
agreement on
abrasive
this?
girl in the group TM, but I don't think Kyoko in particular is like
The rough-edged, half friend, half enemy who kind of gets in your way but then helps you when it matters.
Yes,
Well, that's
that is a staple.
okay, yeah, that is a common thing in magical girl things, but that's like a common thing.
I don't think the social Darwinism is typical, being real. Also, I gotta go for a bit. My bad.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, be safe.
No, Shadow brings up another
Sure.
good point, which is that the rules of the world prevent magical girls from being altruistic.
Oh yeah.
Really? I mean, like Madoka does beat the system at the end.
Yes, but only Madoka
Because
can do that.
because she destroys the entire universe.
Yeah, she commits omnicide in order to be able to do this.
So
I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's maybe more of a problem with the girls. Like their wishes seem to be pretty short-sighted.
Yeah,
So
it's almost
basically
like they're
everyone does
14 or
Madoka.
something.
It's almost
Yeah.
like they're not given all the information that's relevant.
I don't think that's an excuse there.
I
Yeah,
don't
I know.
think that's an excuse. I don't know. I've always been opposed to the idea that because some of these characters act like they're 14 and some don't.
Mhm.
Right? So lumping them all together and just being like, oh yeah, they're 14-year-olds. They don't know what's going on. But then you still have long swaths of them like philosophizing about, their lives and their love and their families and all this stuff. And it's like, all right, 14-year-olds don't talk like this either.
Hold on.
So like
Tom, you've gotten off track. We're not talking about A Place Further Than the Universe this week.
Oh, well, okay.
No, I don't know. I feel like teenagers can be pretty pretentious.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I'm not sure
they
there's
can-
anything super unbelievable, hard to believe.
They
Wandering
can be
Shadow, you are
pretentious.
very wrong there. 14-year-olds don't usually have deep philosophical discussions correctly.
They'll try.
And we did.
They will make an attempt.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you,
Anyway,
Tom. Go ahead.
wanted to say something.
No, I think that's essentially the point that I was making, but just in a different way. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying that these teenagers specifically, I guess they're varied. Madoka doesn't really do it all that much. Homura does it a fuck ton, but that's also
Homura is
because
hardly a
she's been living-
teenager.
Homer's technically 8 years older than everyone else.
Homura is a different type of beast.
Homura's
so
been
it's not-
through it.
It's not really fair to compare her, but I just don't. I've never liked the pass of these characters are 14, so they're making really stupid decisions. Like anybody can make a decision like Sayaka.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You could be 22 and make the same decision.
You could
Yeah,
be a
That's
ripe,
what I
old,
was trying
mature
to tell you,
22.
James.
I don't know. I'm just throwing out a number. Older than Sayaka. You could be way older than Sayaka. I mean, it doesn't matter. But that's one of my things is that I've always wished that the characters of Madoka were just older.
Mhm. I think
I'd be
that
able
would
to
have
buy
been
into them
nice,
a lot more.
but
Yeah.
I do like that they are the age that they are. When I say Sayaka's 14, I don't mean she's young and she makes stupid decisions because she's not fully developed yet. What I mean is she is Sayaka specifically is in the midst of a highly turbulent emotional situation wherein somebody she cares about is hurt and she has the ability to do something about that. And I don't know if you remember being a teenager, but the strength of that kind of emotion is very will cloud judgment. It will make you make bad decisions in favor of very direct and short-sighted ones that you think will help.
Okay, but like, there's not even any real downside. Well, okay, except becoming.
What do you
a
mean?
witch, which she doesn't know about.
What do you mean?
It's not even real
The
downside.
downside is she didn't say, I wish for everyone who's disabled to be healed.
You see, that's true. That's true. That I absolutely agree with. And what I'm talking about with regards to short-sightedness, that they don't just like universalize a wish they have,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't that hard to consider. I think even for a teenager.
I don't think so either, but I think that that's part of Kyubey's manipulation, is that he finds people who have very specific problems, and he specifically finds them in situations where they need to make a decision quickly.
Points at mommy.
Points at mommy.
Um,
Points at Kyoko.
I
oh yeah.
I don't want to psychologize Kyubey too much. Like, sure, haters can say stuff like this, but
I'm not hating. I
don't
think he's
there's
brilliant.
that much of-
I think he's a genius.
Like,
he's a very smart young man.
A very
smart
smart,
little
very
critic.
kind and well-intentioned young man.
Yes, he only has the best intentions for these girls.
I cannot
So
wait to get into
that's
this.
okay, so I was fascinated by Kyubey when I first saw this at like, I don't know, 14. So
Mhm.
and like I was like, I watched when I was like watching this show. I think this is like the second or third ever magical girl show that I ever watched, which an interesting thing for me to be saying. But it's like I was so deeply fascinated by Kyubey, and I only realized after like essentially like rereading through like the month of notes and having like baking in the back of my brain all month long, I figured out that like Kyubey, in a way, if we are like comparing this to like the Faustian bargain deal with a devil sort of like literary concept that like transcends Madoka Magica, there's the literary concept of a Faustian power bargain / a deal with a devil. Kyubey is an interesting example of like evil without malice.
Mhm.
Like
Absolutely.
it's like it was like the first time I'd ever seen something like that, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's so interesting. Because like Kyubey does not want Kyubey is not like a devil in the sense of Kyubey is selfishly jonesing for a specific Kyubey is selfishly jonesing for its own enrichment, and Kyubey's not like selfishly jonesing for its own enrichment at the expense of the girls. But Kyubey also does not understand that what it is doing is evil. It just is. Because it's not like a human person who shares human values. It is literally doing the thing that it admonishes Madoka for it says it's like, I don't understand why humans seem to like we don't understand this concept of tricking you, air quotes. We don't understand this concept of tricking you. We don't understand human values. But like, why do humans seem to want to blame the other party when they misunderstand the deal that they made? And I'm over here like, you don't understand that lying by omission is lying. You are meddling with things you don't understand. And it's so interesting to me how like it creates like this the show creates a devil with no malice, and that's so cool.
I do have to address something in YouTube chat real quick. Multiple people are saying you can't universalize your wish. Where is that said? Kyubey says multiple times, I can give you anything you want. Anyway.
Madoka's wish is universal, so you definitely can. I don't.
Madoka's wish is different.
Well, Madoka's wish is different in the fact that she is erasing the universe, not that she is making a change on a universal scale. Yeah.
Well, like I understand that Kyubey can't grant any
agree.
wish. Because later in the show, when Madoka's making her wish, he says, it doesn't matter what you wish for, you'll create so much energy that whatever it is will come true. And that implies sometimes it won't. Sometimes the wish won't have enough energy. That comes from Magia Record. Magia Record doesn't exist. This is about Madoka Magica.
Yeah. Like, I think it's like, I said like somewhere, it's like the idea that like the power, technically speaking, belongs to the girls and exists within their souls. And they, like, the only reason that like Sayaka, I think it's like implied that like Sayaka's soul gem is weaker than someone else's might be. Like it's stated that her soul gem is weaker. And I think this is because like the idea of like the wish that you have to make, like Kyubey says to Homura, your wish has overcome entropy. This implies that like you have to feel so strongly and purely about this thing that you are wishing for that it cannot do anything else but rip your soul out of your
That's
body.
A really interesting thing that you just said, and I want to say this before I forget it. With regard to universalizing wishes and what we were talking about before about why don't they just wish for everyone to be healed, I think, and this is just fan fiction, but an interesting idea is that you have to feel very strongly about the thing to get the power you need for the wish to come true, and it's very hard to feel that strongly about everyone not being disabled anymore. It's easy to feel strongly about Kyosuke Kamijo not being disabled anymore.
Because she's known him all her life.
Exactly.
Doesn't it?
Anyway, just wanted to say that because it was a cool thought.
So something, don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, something just because we're talking about it, something I've always not particularly been a fan of is the soul gem. Just because they make a really big fucking deal about it, but never go into why it matters.
I think I had this discussion with Mariah too, because we agreed. And the problem, of course, is the violation of consent. It's not a big deal.
Yes.
It's not a big deal to me because I would have made that decision. Like, it is very nearly objectively better to just have your soul outside your body. Not objectively better. There are downsides, but
yes.
the good sides completely outweigh it, especially if you're going to be fighting supernatural foes for the rest of eternity.
My point isn't even about consent, though, because, like, yes, consent, like, obviously, like, the fact that he omitted that from telling, like, he didn't tell them, right? That's fucked up. But my thing is, like, Sayaka makes a big, and this is one of the reasons why I like Sayaka a lot. But this is one of the reasons why her arc to me has never felt as impactful as it could have, if this wasn't a plot point, because she goes on and on and on about how like what's the guy's name? Kyosuke? Yeah, Kyosuke will never love me. He could never love me. He could never, hold my body. He could never do this. But there's never a point made about what makes her body different now. Is it colder for some reason? Is it
I don't think it's anything like that. And I don't think it has anything to do with Kyosuke.
So I think the thing is, it's like less sensitive, but only less sensitive in a way you'd notice if you're doing these magical girl battles.
No, I think that's taking this way too literally. I don't think that there's any difference in sensation for either party. This has fundamentally changed Sayaka's view of herself and her relationship with her body. And I think when she says, Kyosuke will never hold me, he'll never love me, what she means is, I will never be able to let that happen.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
Because
I agree that she's overreacting. I find that very stupid.
Why? Why?
I find that dumb. But I am a 30-year-old man. If we just take a step back and we say, Sayaka believes that this separation of soul and body has basically turned her into a walking corpse. And from that belief, she thinks that any kind of physical intimacy is going to be disgusting. I think that is an understandable point of view, even if I don't agree.
I don't think it's understandable, and
okay, we're done then.
Chat, I cannot comprehend.
You don't understand it.
Yeah,
there's no explaining that level of thing.
Yeah, Ziezel also brings up a good point, which is yes, Sayaka seems to be overreacting, but the violation of the whole situation just leaves her feeling very gross about her own physical self. And I think that's understandable.
Cool. Understandable. I would just have liked I'm totally on board and willing to agree with all of it. My thing was, I would have just liked the show to give an actual reason as to why this was a problem.
No, I agree.
Verbalize at some point your soul belongs to your body. These are not things that can be separated meaningfully. And the fact that you have decided to do this is wrong on a level that you clearly don't understand as something with spare bodies.
I didn't even think of that.
That's a good point.
But I think that this is the issue. Okay, so obviously in universe, it's completely contingent. Your body is going to be, practically speaking, just as alive, even if your soul is inside the gem. So then the question comes, why does it matter where your soul is? Well, you're specifically saying, my humanity is necessarily dependent on the fact of where my soul is located, literally located.
You sound like Kyubey right now.
What am I called? What did I change my name?
No, I agree with Tenek. Tenek is right.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree with Tenek.
But that doesn't mean that Sayaka feels that way. Sayaka has basically just learned that the human soul exists, objectively, and now knows that she doesn't have one. She just has this little Coca-Cola bottle that her soul has been poured into, and that's weird. She's feeling strange.
It's body horror.
Yeah, it's
but I do want to say this, so sure, maybe we can say Sayaka has a viewpoint where she finds this disgusting. Sure, I can't argue against that specifically, but I think where it does become a problem for the show itself is that the show wants to make a point that the hope that they have as magical girls, the wish they create, has this necessary effect eventually of turning into despair, turning into witches. And to me, it's just hard to believe that there's some strong necessity to this, when the reason why she turns into a witch is just that she isn't able to exercise more stoicism over her situation.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's inevitable
Yeah.
because there is no life that exists without falling into like some kind of despair. Like you will eventually feel such a strong sense of like sadness or anger or something that makes you want to throw up your hands and say, I think I just want to stop fucking existing or something. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that's like a thing that happens to everyone at some point at some
Spiritual
time. That is the
dysphoria.
inevitable part of it.
Spiritual
Surprise.
dysphoria. That's surprise spiritual dysphoria. I love that.
Surprise!
But no,
Is this what you wanted?
no, Tino is right, and I was gonna bring this up. Like, it's no different than having your brain put in a jar that you now have to carry around everywhere. It's weird. Like, it's not that it's objectively worse, or that it's somehow inconvenient, even though it is. It's just that it's weird. It makes you feel strange.
Okay, but that's my point. Like, is there an actual feeling that she is feeling, or is it just
Physically, I
the
don't think
idea-
so.
Okay, that's what I would have liked clarification on, to
Mhm.
sell the point that she is feeling this way. Because if there was some physical sensation beside, because like she gets knocked out cold and she doesn't even comment on it. Like, was she like functionally she was dead, but does she like realize that, or does she like was it just like she was unconscious? Does she not like really recognize what was that feeling? I would like something to be verbalized before we jump into the conflict of Kyosuke will never love me because of this, which feels.
I agree, and I think that this goes back
yeah.
to what we were saying earlier about Gen Urobuchi's writing, is that he likes a very tight story. He doesn't like to dwell on things very much. If something can be implied and figured out by the audience, he tends to let it be. And I think that this is an example of where that kind of writing falls short a little bit.
It's like the value of connecting your soul to your body is like just assumed. Like it's like Gen Urobuchi is like, okay, obviously it is valuable and important that your soul be connected to your body and your senses, and your body is like a thing, a physical thing that exists in the world. You, the person that exists, is a physical thing that exists in this world. This is obviously just like a passive value that most normal people hold, thinks Gen Urobuchi, who is writing this arc for Sayaka. So Sayaka immediately agonizing about this does not need to be explained.
I don't think it's that so much. I think it's more that he thinks that Sayaka's reaction can stand on its own, and that we can gather from the reaction what the problem is.
But you can gather 1,000 different things, some of which are not, like not all of them can be right. A lot of them can be right at the same time, but not all of them can be right. And I really wanted some direction on what the character was feeling and why she is reacting this way.
Let me put it in a different way, because I just thought of an interesting parallel here. Let's imagine that there is a trans woman walking around in a totally male-presenting body, has not started transitioning at all. This woman is in love with a man. But she believes that she cannot be loved by this man because her body is wrong. Sayaka believes that her body is wrong.
Okay.
Damn. Yeah, no, owie.
Okay.
Sayaka believes that she cannot be loved by a human being who has a soul because she is not one of those.
But she is.
Right.
She is, though.
We know that. We all agree with that point of view. We all think that Sayaka is dumb.
I think we're talking in a circle at this point.
Yeah, maybe.
Me and Brian at least agree on is that like her suffering entirely stems from her beliefs.
Yes.
It doesn't stem from any like perceptual states.
I understand this. I am on board with this. I feel like Jam said, we are talking in circles. I feel like I'm just going to reiterate my point.
I think my thing is that like
we can just move on.
Yeah, I'm very easy to like convince of somebody like if a show like says this character values this, I'm like, then that's valuable, right? Like that's like I'm very like.
Hello, Scrub. Welcome. Welcome to YouTube text chat. Scrub's not here. The teenage mind is a messed up place. Hell yeah, it is. One of the best parts.
Yeah.
One of the best parts of being an anime YouTuber is having teenagers on my television screen just all the time. That does not get old. Why didn't Sayaka just kill and eat all the witches? Is she stupid?
Look,
What would happen if a
Sayaka
girl
is
wished to be
very
a guy?
dumb.
There are no magical boys. Sorry.
No
You would
magical
stop
boy.
being magic.
Darn.
All right.
If Sayaka read the Meditations on First Philosophy, would it give her an existential crisis?
Yeah, probably.
There are some people for whom that thought experiment that Descartes did, where it's like, what if there's an evil demon who has your brain and is essentially manipulating you to
Manipulating
perceive
you.
reality as though it is what reality is. That gives people an existential crisis, and you gotta kind of be like, if that is true, then the illusion is complete, and you're living here, and you just gotta live your life all over again with an extra step.
Yep. No, the Cartesian solution. If that is true, who cares?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm glad there is a solution, because I was like, you're saying this, and I feel pretty unfazed by whatever the fuck you're saying.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
I
that's
don't
where
really
Descartes
care.
came up with cogito. It's like, I think, therefore I am. That's the only thing I can know for sure, is that my thoughts exist.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
I exist. And I mean, he erects his whole system from that. But I was just mainly thinking about the mind-body dualism.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's definitely a philosophy which says okay, you are your mind, primarily at least. That's a separate substance from your body.
Mm-hmm.
Mind over matter.
Which I agree
Hold
with.
on, stop.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
Guys.
really agree with that. I think that the mind is just a consequence of biological processes. But
Scrub in the chat just said, "Would testosterone have saved them?" I think that's really funny. Good one,
I
Scrub.
feel like it would have saved one of them, but I don't know which one.
I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Go on.
I think that the mind and body are inseparable. But I think that for practical purposes, they're different things. I believe that about a lot of things. I have a lot of philosophical beliefs that I think are true. And then a lot of step back but practical applications, though. These don't matter. I don't believe that there's such a thing as free will. I don't think people make decisions, but that doesn't matter because we have to live as though we do.
I see.
the
That's interesting.
The flavor of determinism that I kind of believe in is this idea that everything that will happen the way it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially the future is just the past from a different perspective. It's
Sure.
we are looking at the future from behind, so we can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, what's the point in trying to predict what the future is?
Fair enough.
Does that make sense?
It does, and it's not about Madoka, and we're going to get off on a huge 2-hour-long tangent if we
You're
do this.
right.
We're not gonna start talking about philosophy of mind. But maybe one time we should just have a philosophy of mind stream.
Anime Club Philosophy of Mind. We're getting Marcus Aurelius up in here.
Yeah, let's pick a really shitty show, not watch it, and then talk about something completely else.
So-
completely different.
What do you think is the essence of a phoenix? Who read their Averroes? All right, Kyubey did nothing wrong. Let's get into it. Kyubey is a fucking hero. I don't care if he personally came to Earth and tortured every single human being for thousands of years. I think that that is a reasonable price to pay for the continued existence of the universe.
True,
I
and he does a
think
lot
it's
less.
The time scale that Kyubey is working on is so large that it's hard to conceive of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of my thing about Kyubey is that, like I said, it's they essentially made evil without malice inside of Kyubey, and it's so fucking cool, genuinely.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I think my thing about Kyubey is that I don't understand. Maybe it's just because I have a very specific relationship with death. I don't understand why letting the universe die is a bad thing.
Sure.
It has a life cycle, obviously.
I
or else it
understand
wouldn't
that.
be dying.
I don't. Well, from that point of view, I don't understand why
That's
trying
like
to
a
keep it from
contingent
dying would be a bad thing. We're just kind of doing things. There's no
guess
reason
that's a
not
good
to keep
point,
it
yeah.
around.
I think the reason why he doesn't want the universe to die is because he lives here.
Yeah.
And he would like it to keep going. I think
Mhm.
that's as good as we're gonna
That's
I
get.
think it's
like
more
those.
collectivist than that. I think Kyubey wants their entire species to live.
Yeah.
Civilizations in the universe. I
Mhm.
mean, he even says that like it's in the interest of humanity to, you know, make sure there's other civilizations by the time they can start expanding.
Yuriko asks,
Yuriko in
how do we
chat.
know Kyubey is telling the truth about stopping entropy? And why would you
That's
think
just a
that?
hypothetical
He
demon
never
thought
lies.
experiment again.
Yeah, like, I mean, I guess you're right, but
I mean,
but
like,
why would
there
that
is no
thought
point-
come into your head?
Why would he be doing any of this?
Yeah,
then?
like, I think that thought does nothing but make the show less interesting.
The only there's a moment in episode 10 where Kyubey says to Homura, "Well, we've pretty much met our quota. It's humanity's problem now," referring to Madoka destroying the planet in approximately 10 days. Like it's like we've met our quota. And like the use of the word quota implies that there was like a specific numbers goal that Kyubey did not mention before. And like, what do you mean? If entropy is happening constantly, wouldn't you need more energy constantly? Is like the question that makes someone go, but what if they were lying about stopping entropy? And I'm
Yo,
like, I
shout
don't
out-
necessarily think that's true. I think it's like their projections for manners in which to perpetually like keep this thing they've got going on to stop entropy going, like their projections for like the amounts of energy they would need. Madoka turning into a witch just like completely makes those like trivial numbers to beat. I think is the idea behind Kyubey saying, well, we've met our quota, it's humanity's problem now. It's like the idea that like at this point we could probably just wait for a different species that is very like humanity to start existing. If like we ever somehow like needed to gather like large amounts of energy again, because right now I think
we've got plenty of time.
Like it's become like a thing.
Shout out to Solo Flare in the chat who's quoting Sonic and the Black Knight. That's my goat.
Everyone has.
You're based. You are based.
Shout out to Scrub
keep going
asking,
with
why
this.
doesn't Kyubey just wish for the universe to be better? Are they stupid?
Ooh, this is
And
a
that
good question.
that does bring up a nice question. Why doesn't Madoka just wish for the universe to be better? Is she stupid?
I think
She
I
does.
think you
I know she
explained it
does.
yourself earlier this stream, right? I mean, like, so Madoka does, by this point, at the end of the series, feel pretty strongly about the fate of magical girls. She feels bad for them. She wants to do something about it. But maybe she doesn't feel any particular strong way about, like, the laws of physics that make it the case that, like,
She is
entropy and
barely
the
in high
death of
school.
the universe is a problem. Yeah, exactly.
I
Maybe
don't
she doesn't even
Like,
I think even
I
in
understand
high
that
school,
the three basic laws of thermodynamics aren't that difficult to understand. But people struggle with them.
I mean, it's not even about that. I mean, those are just like kind of basic generalizations. If you wanted to get into the nitty gritty, I don't think you could do that without having a master's degree in physics at least. Something Madoka is pretty far away from. I think.
Yeah,
we can
like
all agree, right?
we know that Madoka is not a great student.
She's
Right.
a very average student. I think it's
Right. It's not even. I just want to finish this, and it's not even about her not understanding it, although that could be a requirement. It's also, I think, just the fact that she doesn't feel any strong way about it.
Yeah. Well, it's just
The way
such a
she
big
does.
thing. It's the same kind of principle as I was saying, like, you can feel very strongly about wanting Kyosuke to get better, but most people cannot feel that strongly about wanting everyone to get better.
Exactly.
And Madoka is the rare kind of person who actually has that much empathy for the concept
that
of
much
people.
capacity to care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Madoka,
And, like-
Jesus.
That's the thing. It's like, geez, that reminds me of the fucking unicorn screenshot. Oh man, I love that fucking screenshot. Actually, I was going completely insane over it, just like staring at it. I'm just like, ah.
Unicorn screenshot. What are we talking about?
When she's talking with Kyoko in episode 9, and Kyoko like is saying to her like, we can get Sayaka's soul back maybe if we just what if
Oh,
like, what
right,
if, what
the
if we can?
signs.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I thought they were like wind chimes.
I thought they
but
were
that's
like
not the point.
business signs.
Huh. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. It's like Sayaka is framed by a mermaid.
A mermaid and a unicorn.
But Madoka is framed by a unicorn. And like unicorns are so mythologically rich as concepts, and they are like they were for a time like literally allegorical to Jesus. So
True.
it's just like Madoka being framed as the unicorn, and Sayaka being framed as this doomed mermaid is like so interesting to me. I fucking love it.
That is
There's
very
not-
interesting to me that you would
in the
interpret
show.
it that way, because I interpreted it entirely differently. I saw
Fascinating.
this conversation happening within the frame of two mythological creatures and said, oh, the things that they're talking about are fairy tales.
Oh,
They will never be able
like
to get
their
Sayaka
idea.
back. It's a myth. It's fiction.
Can I interject and ask what we're talking about exactly? I
During-
don't remember this scene at all.
I just thought it was great framing. But during the conversation where Kyoko and Madoka are talking, after Sayaka has become a witch, and Kyoko brings up the idea that, hey, maybe you could talk to witch Sayaka and she would recognize your voice or something and turn back into a regular girl. That conversation?
in the background.
Yeah, it's in the
background,
foreground.
There's
But they're in the alleyway,
foreground.
and in the foreground, we can see these two wind chimes or like signs of something.
the things like the shops that
Yeah.
are hanging up. Yeah, okay.
One
no,
is a
I
mermaid
remember.
and one is a
All right.
unicorn.
Gotcha.
Who shops at the unicorn store?
I would.
Didn't Madoka's powers get stronger the more Homura traveled back and tied the timelines together, making her the focal point? Yes? What do you mean?
Yeah.
I think it's like what
Yes.
they're saying is,
Yes
like,
is the
if
answer to the
she is that
question.
powerful, why is it that like her feelings have anything to do with it? Like her personal feelings. If Homura's personal feelings about Madoka is the thing that makes Madoka so powerful, why does Madoka's feelings about other magical girls matter to her wish? I think is the question that they're asking.
Good question. I don't know.
I think it's sort of like there's this one line in Parasite that I've never seen Parasite, but like that horror movie about like rich people.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
like there's this one line that says one character says they're so nice even though they're really rich, and then another character shoots back they're nice because they're rich. And it's like this idea that like rich people, like people who are more privileged, do not have the difficulties with like essentially weighing your desire to like just be good about something versus like being like morally good about something versus your desire for self-preservation. They don't have to make those kinds of decisions. And Kyoko even says this to Madoka at some point. Kyoko says like, hey, listen, if you can go home and eat good food and be with your family and be safe and happy, why would you ever become a magical girl? This is a job for people who have no other options. Like, that's something that Kyoko says to Madoka, and Madoka clearly doesn't think that that's correct, but she doesn't have the words to explain why she doesn't think it's correct. And it's this idea that Madoka has the capacity to feel so deeply for other magical girls because her own life has been very like safe and sheltered and comfortable. And when she learns of like the price of that comfort, when she learns how much Homura loves her and how much Homura has sacrificed for her, when she learns that the world is kind of built on this system of girls fighting witches and suffering and becoming witches, she thinks to her she can't help but feel so deeply about that. Whereas Kyoko, when she learns about all this, she's like, fuck, I guess that's how it is on this bitch of an earth, huh? Like, you know? And so, like, that idea is that, like, both of these things are converging. Madoka is the karmic center of destiny, and being the karmic center of destiny allows her to feel the way that she feels about the things that happen around her.
That's interesting. This is completely unrelated, but I do want to bring it up while I remember. I was doing a little bit of reading about Walpurgisnacht, the witch, before our meeting today. And I found this wonderful quote on the Madoka wiki in the trivia section. It says, in episode 24 of Magi a Record, Walpurgisnacht's magic seal is shown as her familiars parade toward it. Holy Quintet attempt to defeat them. In episode 25, while Purgisnocht was approached by Neo Dorothy Motherfucker to be fused, but Iroha prevented Alina from doing so. While Purgisnocht was approached by the witch, Neo Dorothy Motherfucker, to be fused, but Iroha prevented Alina from doing so.
Neo Dorothy Motherfucker.
Do you want to see a picture of the witch, Neo Dorothy Motherfucker?
Yeah, kind of.
Yes, actually.
Kind of.
Yeah, let me send this to chat real quick. Here you go.
But what is Walpurgisnacht, actually? It's some kind of German holiday.
She's a witch.
right?
Yeah, Walpurgisnacht is a German pagan holiday. Scrub says, what?
Oh. This interesting.
Anyway,
Okay.
I think I need to watch Magi a record. I think something's going on there that I might like to see.
I
Good
think.
luck
Wait,
with
how many
that.
times have you seen the third movie?
There are two
You mean
more
Rebellion?
movies?
The
There's
first
two
two movies are like
recap
recap movies.
You mean Rebellion?
And then,
Yeah, that's why I said the third.
The
Yes.
third movie that you aren't allowed to mention.
I didn't mention it. I didn't call it by name.
I've seen
He
it twice.
technically did not say the word.
No, I know.
That you said we shouldn't say.
No, you're all
oh,
allowed
I
to
didn't
say
realize
that
we weren't
word
allowed
one
to say that.
time.
I am sorry.
Yeah, and I didn't say it.
Mm.
But okay, like, just say, how many times have you seen it?
Twice.
Okay.
Why do you ask?
Was that it?
Titanic?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
I'm here.
2 times.
We can talk about it more later.
Anyway, yeah. No, yeah, I reached the end of my thought process. I don't know why I thought that I had more to say.
Mhm. Did we really not have a whole conversation about Kyubey did nothing wrong? We all just said, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
I mean,
Well, what are we? It's guys. It is the most utilitarian thing like ever. Like this is in its
Exactly.
essence utilitarianism. Like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. That is what
I think
it
it's like-
is, right?
Okay, my thing about Kyubey and the moral implications of Kyubey doing anything Kyubey does is like the idea that Kyubey, as I said before, is meddling with shit that they don't understand. And then they turn around and say to the magical girls, well, you're messing with things you don't understand. So, like, of course, unforeseen consequences will happen.
Mhm.
And it's like this idea that the incubators hold literally all of the cards. And they realized if they share any of the cards, the magical girls don't want to play the game. And so they're like,
don't
well,
think that's
then I
true.
guess we have to deal out the cards
Mhm.
in a way that is most beneficial to us.
I don't think that's
Specifically, like they are centering themselves as the more important party and then saying that the magical girls are getting a good deal out of this. And that is the thing that makes me go, that's evil.
But it is also
true.
true.
I want to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to say something first. So, wait, shit, I lost my train of thought immediately. But, I don't know how this could have happened. I need a minute.
I'm sorry, this never happens to me. Just as what I was going to say is that like it might be evil, especially from the perspective of humans, but it is true. The incubator's cause here is more important, and I'm sure that if that cause were better served by just going to the magical girls and saying, "Hey, here's what's up," then that's what they would do. Like, there are very utilitarian people in the other sense as well. They want to do what works.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So
I would
what I
also
wanted to
say. Oh, okay, go on.
Should I? Okay, I'll go first. So, right, like I first wanted to just express disagreement. I don't think it's necessarily the case that they're like trying to hide information to make the deal more something the girls will accept. It seems
They literally
I'm sure
explicitly
Let's
say
hear 'em
that
out.
they don't tell the girls certain things
Let's hear 'em
because
out.
they are more likely to do the deal.
Come
If-
on,
Jams.
come on.
Jams, let's hear him out.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I will say this. Like, I don't remember what you're referring to. So maybe you're right, and maybe everything I'm saying is horseshit. If not, then I think the thing is just like Kyubey and the incubators like legitimately don't understand why the girls would take issue, or like why they would be surprised that like hope turns into despair.
I
And
mean,
they're
they
like,
say that.
yeah, sure. Like they're giving them a deal. They're not saying anything false. They make a wish. Their soul gets put into a gem, and then down the line they become witches, and that's helpful to preventing the heat death and all that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
That's
it's mostly that it seems like the incubators don't understand the idea of lying by omission.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Because they don't even think what they're omitting is important. That's how I understood it.
I disagree with that.
Well, I mean, Kyubey literally says like he does not understand human emotion in the sense that like why would they? Doesn't he literally tell Sayaka like why are you even so upset? Like you didn't notice before. It doesn't matter. Nothing is different
True.
about your body.
Truth, Nook.
So,
Yeah, no,
like,
Kyubey's right there.
They did. I mean, yeah, like I'll give it up, right? They don't have. I mean, him and Madoka too have a conversation about like livestock and how humans treat livestock and how the incubators treat them, right? Obviously, but he doesn't understand why Madoka can draw a distinction between the two. Like to him, it's the same thing. It's all doing it for the greater good, so they can feed themselves and he can make the universe keep going, right? It's not.
Kyubey
I don't
even
know.
says that like the incubators treat the magical girls better than humans treat their livestock, which like okay, I would argue another thing. This is technically true on certain levels.
Yep.
But it's like
It's absolutely true on all levels.
It's
Not
a false
correct.
equivalence in the first place to me. Repeat that.
Tenek said it's absolutely true on all levels.
Okay,
Yeah.
no. It's a false equivalence to me
Yep.
because, like, the incubators are an entire hive mind society that can make a collective decision and just agree on that collective decision. They found humans who are unique creatures in the universe. They explicitly state humans are unique in their capacity for emotion across the universe. And, like, they find humans and they decide what to do with humans when they find them. Humans live on a planet with other animals who also eat other animals, and the infrastructure through which we get our food is something that is under active debate. It's like, it's not even, like, this is a false equivalency that Kyubey is making. And I think Madoka intuitively understands this, but she's 14, so she can't articulate why that's wrong.
Well, it's also that...
I think...
Go ahead, Tom.
It's this analogous because we have vegans, we have people who think we should not be doing animal agriculture. That's going to be different from the way incubators all agree that we should be farming magical girls for anti-entropy energy.
I just think the equivalency that Kyubey is making is way more simple than like, yeah, he is simply just stating the point. Like, yes, there are more like details behind the way we treat livestock, right? Do the incubators treat us way better than we treat livestock? I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know the entire history of the incubators' relationship with humanity. Who the fuck could tell you, right? But the only equivalency that he is drawing is, hey, you guys eat these guys who they're alive, they're creatures. You use them for survival. We use you for survival. That is the only thing that he is saying.
But I think that Tenek is right in saying that it's disanalogous. Very good word. Because livestock, as far as we understand, do not have the same capacity for suffering that humans do. They have physical suffering and they have a limited degree of mental suffering. Humans have conscious emotions and thoughts and a sense of self, and all of that can create kinds of suffering that are not possible with most other animals.
Yeah.
And while we do not at all treat our livestock well, the relationship between incubators and humans just has so many more avenues for creating suffering that I don't think Kyubey understands.
Yeah. Now, see, this is the interesting part about this discussion, because, like, to me, this is not why Kyubey is an asshole. He's an asshole simply because he lies to people.
Yep.
Like, not even just, like, omitting things out of the conflict of like, oh, your soul gem will pop out. Like he will straight up just lie to people to get what he wants. That's what makes him
Where
a bad guy.
Where does Kyubey lie?
do you
There's this
mean,
one
where does
point
Kyubey
where
lie?
Kyoko is asking.
Mhm.
Kyoko is asking, "Is it possible to get Sayaka back?" And Kyubey says, "Well, I don't know." I mean, Matt, it's like Kyubey says,
True.
"I don't know." Then Homura asks Kyubey later, "Was it ever possible? Was it really ever possible, you bitch?" and Kyubey says, "Oh, of course not. Obviously not.
Well,
but I
okay.
gave her hope because I needed her off the board. Because then Madoka would have to make a contract if she wanted you to live."
Okay, but that's just him giving like answers in a way that's gonna get to the endpoint that he wants.
No,
Kyubey-
that's
That's
him
actively misleading.
lying.
That's actively lying.
That's him lying. He says he does
I
not
thought-
know, and he does.
And he doesn't know. Like what he says later is more like, yeah, this wasn't plausible. Like there was no way we knew this. I actually did talk about this precise point with my Kyubey defender friend earlier, precisely because it did seem on at first like as an example of Kyubey just lying. And I think he provided a reasonable response. That's what he said. What I'm saying now, that Kyubey's not like ruling it out entirely. There could be like some totally unconsidered method by which you can bring a witch back into a magical girl, but it's just not something they've experienced. They would have like reasons to expect.
Yes, but
That's
in
the
that
sense.
case, that is still lying. Because if I say like, "Oh, are you going to be, are you going to be safe driving home tonight?" And you go, yeah." Like, but then a meteor hits you out of nowhere and your car fucking explodes. Like, oh yeah, no, then you were just lying. That like, no, haphazardly being like, oh, anything could happen. I have no idea. When in reality, yeah, no, he just knows. Like he from experience, he knows, hey, this is not something that can happen. Maybe something will magically happen. Like that's not it. That doesn't deflect the lie away.
I
The
don't know. I
metamorphosis
just
from a
disagree. It does.
magical-
I think it does.
No, the metamorphosis
Because
from a
it's not
magical
something
girl
you can
into a
know.
witch is similar to like a chemical reaction, right? And if Kyubey knows how that chemical reaction works, and Kyoko doesn't, and Kyoko asks Kyubey, "Is this possible?" And
back.
Kyubey knows how
Hello.
that chemical reaction works,
Can you hear me,
knows
everybody?
more information about this shit than Kyoko does, and just says, "Well,
Hello,
it's never
folks, can you
happened
hear me?
before." What?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
Brian.
my mic cut out. Sorry.
But
I just now
look,
plugged it back in.
Okay, sure. You made an analogy to science, to chemistry. I think that's a good example, and I would say, like, well, the thing is exactly like that's an empirical, a contingent science, and that's why any like principles that may come to put forward will be contingent, will be prone to the revision. Don't give you any necessary knowledge, and that's exactly the sense in which Kyubey can be unsure and open to saying, maybe there's some way to bring a witch back into a magical girl. Like,
But we
don't see
know
it
that
in the-
Kyubey's motivation in saying that was not to comfort or to aid Kyoko in any way.
Sure.
Kyubey specifically said that to lead to Kyoko's death.
That doesn't make it a lie.
Exactly. Yes.
With
Yes,
science,
that doesn't make it a lie. That's exactly
Hold
my
on.
point.
I said
on.
this when my mic was cut out, so I'm gonna take a second. I'm gonna take the floor here.
Oh.
But
sorry.
Oh, okay.
no, I do think that when you ask Kyubey, is there a way to turn a witch back into a magical girl? The strictly correct answer is probably, I don't know. Because I see Kyubey as a scientist. And the answer is, I don't know, maybe. The fully correct answer is, I technically don't know, but we have no idea how that would work, and we have no reason to think that it could be possible. But I can absolutely see Kyubey just saying, I don't know, because
In
that suits
science,
their agenda.
In science, though, right? When we talk about chemical reactions, for things that we know are going to happen, right? If you put Mentos in a Coke bottle,
Sure.
it blows the fuck up.
Mhm.
Like, we know this is going to happen. right? But if you ask somebody, hey, is this going to happen? And they know it's going to happen, and they say, I don't know, magically, maybe something could go wrong, and it could maybe possibly not happen. Like, we don't do that in science.
Mm-hmm.
We take down theories, right? We take down hypotheses, we test them out, we go, okay, this is what happens, and then we move on, right? We move on to the next. So Kyubey, being a scientist, is like, hey, I don't know, maybe something could happen. That is still him directly lying. For all he does know, for all he does know, it could not happen.
Tenek?
Yeah, and that's what he says the first time. He doesn't know. Maybe it could happen.
No, false equivalence here. Because we aren't talking about chemistry. We are talking about human psychology and witch science. And these are things that Kyubey admittedly does not know very much about. Like, every attempt to talk to a witch and turn her back into a magical girl is going to be different. Kyubey can say, we have never seen this work before, but it's entirely possible that you're going to go up there and come up with some string of words, some emotional connection from some person that'll work. Probably not. Seems stupid to me. But who knows? This is a totally untapped branch of witch physics.
I love the way it's witch physics.
Witch physics.
But then, like, when he's talking with Homura, and he, A, is looking back at this event in hindsight, and B, has a different agenda when speaking, he says, yeah, of course that was never gonna work. Because of course it was never gonna work. Like, yeah, maybe it could have, but it didn't, and of course it was never going to.
It's so interesting. Suddenly I'm thinking about, like, the nature of a personality. Because Kyubey, for all intents and purposes, is a hive mind with no individual personalities in there. And that's fascinating to see the different ways in which Kyubey behaves, because Kyubey only behaves based on agenda and goal, and humans behave on more levels than that. And I think that's very cool.
Like, I could think of it this way. Imagine asking Neil Armstrong in '69, are you going to find aliens on the moon? The answer is, I don't know, probably not. We have no reason to believe that we're going to find aliens on the moon. I don't know, but probably not. He goes to the moon, he comes back, you ask, did you find aliens? Says, no, of course I didn't find aliens. Like, you ask, were you ever going to find aliens? Like, no, that was never a possibility, I was never going to find aliens, but until you go to the moon and you check, there could be aliens.
Schrodinger's aliens on the moon.
So the reason why, how do I put it? Like, somebody said it in the chat, either way, he's still actively tricking Kyoko, right?
Not under debate. Definitely.
I think we all agree on that.
Yes, we all agree on that, right? But whether or not he is lying about it, right? I think because his agenda is, I want her to die. If there was even a possibility of it working, he would not have let her do it.
That's interesting. But I also, I don't think Kyubey thinks there is a realistic possibility of it working, but I do think I think that he would still let her do it, because if it works, that's interesting.
That's good news.
That shouldn't have worked.
Maybe they could use that for farming more, like, grief seed energy, right? Because if they can turn grief seeds, well, I guess that brings up questions about energy. Like, do you need to input energy into grief seeds to get a soul gem back? Maybe.
Yeah,
because the grief seeds soak up negative energy.
Yeah, I don't even think it's as complicated as that. It's just, man, I didn't think that could happen. That can happen? Cool. We gotta delve into that more.
I don't know. I think, like, if because, like, we can say, like, oh yeah, this is, you know, wouldn't it be, Kyubey would be like, oh, isn't this interesting? But we actively know that he he doesn't give a shit, he just wants her dead. So
I'm
like,
imagining all the four of us on like opposite ends of a science classroom, where like Tom and I are in front of one whiteboard and you two are in front of another whiteboard.
And we are ultimately agreeing with each other. We just don't like the words that the other party is using.
we're all shaking our head yes in agreement and being like, yeah.
But we're all
he's
like
an
yelling at each other. Like, yes, damn it, you're right. And here's why. Starts marking on whiteboard.
But here's what you said specifically that pissed me off, right? Yeah.
No, damn it, you're right.
This is how all philosophical arguments go.
Could a girl just reuse
yeah.
a grief seed if she never gave it to Kyubey? No, they have a limited number of uses. They break eventually.
We also, something I've always never quite understood, which has made me be like, what the fuck is going on? They talk about grief seeds being very valuable in the beginning of Madoka, right? To make it so like other magical girls would want to come over and take over this territory, but because mommy has been here, like no magical girls are going to come and fuck with her, right? What makes the grief seeds valuable besides taking away the negative energy?
Nothing.
Or is that
That's a bit
never
like saying what makes food valuable aside
Yeah.
from nurturing your body.
What do you mean?
Okay. What I mean is that if they are just constantly fighting to get grief seeds to take their energy away, why are they fighting at all?
Because the witches impoverish their community. Like, impoverish is not the right word, but like the witches like will cause things like that situation where Madoka is attempting to prevent the other one and a group of other random people from committing mass suicide in a random abandoned factory.
Yeah, the witches are just bad and evil.
Yes, of
But
course.
why are the magical
obviously.
girls fighting each other?
But why are they fight? Yes, why would Kyoko show up to fight other magical girls for the territory of grief seeds? Why would that be a plot?
Well,
Because
you need
that's
to ensure
why
that
Kyoko
you
shows
have.
up.
I mean, right? Like, so grief seeds for them are just a resource that they need to keep on living, because they can't like exist without clearing their soul gems. Not without
Keep
becoming
on
witches.
living or keep on fighting.
Well, keep
I
on
know the
living
use
is
of
normal.
Keep on
magic
living.
clouds
Yeah.
the soul gem.
Okay.
I think in
'Cause
this
I've never-
particular situation, it has to do with Sayaka fighting familiars before they can turn into witches. That is a waste.
Yeah. Yes.
Kyoko wants there to be more witches, so she wants to have this territory so that can happen.
Yeah, that's not really what I don't know how to explain.
No,
this.
I think I
Maybe it's
understand
just-
what you're saying.
Because like I don't get why anyone like I get why they would want to help people and save people, right? But like if somebody else is already doing that, like why would Sayaka, I mean, to have their wish granted obviously, but like why would anyone need to become a magical, why would mommy be trying to recruit magical girls if she knows,
lonely.
hey, I know, but if she knows, hey, this is going to suck for you, which she tells them, this is not going to be fun. You have to think about your decision. And also, you don't like get anything out of it. You get like a wish, but you have to use your wish very wisely. And basically, she was like, not necessarily trying to talk them out of it, but being like, hey, really think about this. But it's like, all of it is just for grief seeds. But the grief seed, like, I don't know. I don't know.
Wait,
I
okay,
feel
so
like
I think I might understand.
I've
why
talked
you're
myself
confused.
into a loop.
Just replace
Let
grief
me-
seeds with food. All of it's just for food.
Right. And I think that confuses Tom because that means grief seeds don't have intrinsic value. I think the point is the only thing that's like intrinsically valuable in being a magical girl are come down to two things. First off, getting a wish. That's like the main motivator. The second is if like you're good-hearted, like want to be a hero, like Sayaka and Madoka.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have that. That's it.
Okay, yeah. I guess my thing is, why couldn't you just get a wish from Kyubey and then fuck off if you didn't really care?
Because
Yeah,
your
I
soul
agree
gem
with that.
passively
I
corrupts
think-
over time.
It's
Do they
keeping
say
your
that?
body
Is
from
that-
decaying.
Yeah, it's
So I think it is.
There is a small amount of magic being used by the soul gem at all times to keep your body from decaying, I think. But even if there weren't, the magic of the soul gem is corrupted by negativity, the same things that the witches create. So just as you have bad thoughts and feelings, your soul gem will get duller over time. That was said at some point, right?
As in the case with
I
Sayaka?
don't remember that at all, to be honest.
Because I thought Sayaka's whole thing was that she was rejecting grief seeds and not taking them and still going out and using a whole bunch of magic. I thought the whole thing where your magic dims is because you're using it.
Well, actually, there's that. Okay, so it's two things. Because they specifically say Sayaka has started carrying a curse in her heart. The idea is that, like if you feel so negatively about what is going on around you, like, I think, like, the curse that Sayaka carries in her heart that eventually turns her into a witch is just a thing that, like, is comorbiditous with her throwing herself at every magical malady, and just waiting to die, essentially. It's like, they're different things. Like, the soul gem dulling as you use magic is, like, this thing that, like, encroaches from the outside, but Sayaka carrying a curse in her heart is visualized as, like, this weird, like, infectious glow from inside her soul gem. And it's like, so, like, Sayaka feels negatively, and starts, like, forsaking the values upon which she built her entire identity. And because of this, she becomes a witch at an even faster rate than would otherwise have happened.
Let's think of it this way.
I see, okay.
Witches come from magical girls, right?
Yeah.
There was a first magical girl.
Uh-huh.
In a world with no witches. Where'd that witch come from?
From that magical girl.
Counterpoint, in Madoka's universe, the Earth is eternal. And there have... Wait, no, that actually messes with the history Kyubey talks about. Forget it.
I think the witches... I think it's not even a chicken and egg thing. I think the witches started with a magical girl. I think the incubators probably came down and were like, hey, this is a really good thing to... Because we know they're going to turn into it. They knew... They programmed it that way, right?
Yes.
To turn girls into witches, right?
Mm-hmm. If there are no witches to fight, you do not use your witch fighting magic. It only makes sense that your soul gem passively corrupts over time.
Okay. Well, I mean, not that you don't... Well, you could use your magic for other things, couldn't you? Doesn't Homura literally use her magic
uses her magic for other things constantly.
Sure.
Yeah, they use their magics for real-world applications. So if there were no... They could just be using it in, like, a war or something.
Sure. So your soul gem actively corrupts over time.
Yeah.
Like, either way, we wind up in the situation we were talking about.
But it does...
What I'm saying, if it does not passively corrupt, then why fight? Besides... I mean, I guess you want to help people, but if you don't care
because it still corrupts. Like, I mean, I guess you can say never use your magic at all.
Yeah, exactly. So you could just get a wish for free. I think it's Tom's point.
But they don't know that they can game the system like that, and at least the main characters here do not know they can game the system like that, and so it's not relevant information.
I think, well,
I guess it's
sure, fair enough.
Also because they're, like, supposed to be good people.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be.
Like, I think
and that's where the conflict comes from.
I think that if enough people did that, the Kyubeys would stop this program.
It'd stop granting wishes.
They would stop doing that. They would stop giving out the government grants. They would just consider it a failed experiment and stop doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that seems like the most reasonable. I've just never been... Go ahead, James.
I was saying, like, my brain was like, it seems we've juiced this topic, so my brain hopped over to the religiosity elements in this show are, like, overpowering and it's delicious.
Yeah.
It's just like, I find it so interesting, the fusion of religious concepts that happen in Madoka Magica. Like, you have, like, the concept of the samsara, like the Buddhist concept of, like, like suffering is just the state of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like suffering is eternal and passive. But then you also have Kyoko, who is a Catholic preacher's daughter. You have and you have Madoka, who is like this sort of like Jesus figure. And like Madoka's wish is so for God so loved the world. Like I cannot express enough how much she made that wish out of such a deep love for the world that she lives in. And like the reason she made the wish the way that she made the wish is because she wanted to honor the sacrifices and the wishes and the souls of the girls who came before her. And that's so juicy in the sense of like the concept, like it connects back to this concept of like ancestor worship in a lot of ways, where like it's like the people who came before us give us guidance. And it's so good. I love how many things are crashing together on like a religious philosophical level in this show. It's so good.
Yeah, especially in the movie that shall not be named. Like they really went there. In that one especially.
What movie?
A movie.
I will not specify. You know what I mean.
I wish I had more to add to this conversation because it sounds fascinating. I really don't.
It's like,
Yeah, I don't get that much religious, symbol. I mean,
oh
I
my
get,
gosh, I
like-
see it everywhere in this fucking show.
Mhm.
No, I
And you're
Then
right,
I get
too.
a lot of explicit stuff as well. But I think I do want to express disagreement on one thing. I feel like the way, like the show talks about karmic destiny. I felt like that maybe rang a bit hollow, because it seems like the show has this idea of like inversion. You start with a particular state and you're eventually gonna naturally get into the opposite. Whereas I feel like all dharmic religions tend to more so say like you put in good seeds, good works, like you're gonna get good outcomes.
I don't think it's
the
using the word karma in a religious sense.
right, and that makes me wonder, like, what sense is it using it in?
I think
What's
in the
part of,
literal
like,
sense
any
of
the stuff that
karma.
happens?
No, I don't think so at all. I think it's using the word karmic destiny just because it sounds cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I always thought it was using karmic destiny as in you put stuff in and you get stuff out. Not necessarily that it was, good karma or bad karma, but just that this destiny is always what's going to happen now,
Mhm.
right? Karmic destiny is you will become a witch because you have put in a wish. Your karma and your destiny now is to become a witch.
yeah,
That's
And
how
like,
I always
that's
saw
the
it.
thing that
have to
doesn't-
balance themselves out.
yeah, and that's the thing that doesn't feel like it connects to like the actual concept of karma.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think it does.
No,
I don't
I
think it does
don't-
either.
Just-
but it's like,
Yeah.
In the same
Just
way that like
referencing
Evangelion is full of Christian symbolism because Hideaki Anno thought it looked really cool.
Yeah.
It was
And
badass
does.
and exotic.
Yeah. Like
I think it's like referencing the concept of karmic destiny. It's like essentially it says, like, just referencing this concept of karmic destiny in relation to Madoka is, I think, just an act of general passive foreshadowing that Madoka's going to become God later. And it's like, I think it's so cool how the ultimate solution to the plot is to remake the world in the image of how Madoka views it through the eyes of love. And it's like this idea that like Homura loved Madoka and thought that Madoka was the everything good about the world distilled into like one person. And Madoka says, it's amazing that you saw that in me, and I see that everywhere, and I want that to be like the truth. I want that to be the higher truth that the magical girl like system revolves around. And it's like this idea of like the system is profane, but Madoka's view of the world is sacred. It's like this idea that like the system, because it is built by creatures that don't have emotions, and because it is built by a devil without malice, it is essentially this profane thing that is like outside of like the like spiritual truth of the matter, which is that everything matters all of the goddamn time. Okay, it's like like the good and bad have to zero themselves out thing that Kyoko was talking about. She found spiritual meaning in her dad's teachings, and she wanted people to find that same meaning in it. That's why she made the wish that she made. And so like when Sayaka becomes a witch and she says that, like, Kyoko doesn't comment upon it, but I think that Kyoko, like, fundamentally does not believe that that's what that meant. I think, like, the idea is that, like, Kyoko was living her life in the sense of, like, it's not that, like, Kyoko is living her life in the sense of, like, nothing matters, but it's like nothing matters except for like essentially like perpetuating the state of things. And Sayaka says nothing matters except for making good things happen. And Madoka is saying, like, everything matters. All of this stuff matters. I care about you, Sayaka. I care about you, Kyoko. I care about you, Homura. I care about Mommy, even though she's dead now. I care about all of these things. Like, all of it. All of it, I care about it. And the idea that caring is divine, and that is why the devil does not care.
That's really interesting. Bring it back to Freerun for a moment. Because there was a patron of mine, and I forget who it was, but in the comments of my Freerun video, they wrote a very long essay about the demons in Freerun, and how the reason demons are not problematic with a capital P is because they fit so well into the themes of leaving behind an impression on other people. How the reason demons just disappear when they die is because outside of themselves they mean nothing. And that fits very well with this whole spiritual duality that you're bringing up with Madoka. Because I forgot the thing about Homura going to Catholic school before she moved to Mitakihara High. And I think that that's a very important little detail, because you have the Christian tradition, which is very individualistic. It's about the impact that one person can have on the entire world, and how every person is responsible for their own spiritual enlightenment. Not that they would use that term. But you have Homura here, who is saying there is nothing important at all except for Madoka. Madoka is the only thing that matters, and I will do anything in order to make sure Madoka lives a good life. I will sacrifice myself to make sure that Madoka can live. And Madoka takes this from a much more Eastern tradition, where everything is interconnected, everything is important, and it results in the annihilation of the self into this metaphysical omni-being, a state of nirvana, basically.
Isn't that just
she's just
Buddhism?
omnipresent. I don't
Isn't that just
think
what?
she does anything else. I mean, the only divine attribute I think she has by the end is omnipresence. Like, she doesn't even
Yes,
do
exactly.
anything. Like, she did her job. Like saving all magical girls.
Buddhists
Whatever.
don't tend to believe that they are going to become a god. They tend to believe in the atheistic death. They're going to become nothing. Part of everything.
No, that's absolutely false. But I don't want to get into
I know that there are different branches of Buddhism, and I know about enlightenment. I know the word bodhisattva. I took a religious studies course in college. I do want to point out something, and this is just a little detail. It doesn't really matter. But as I was looking into stuff for this meeting, I was again on the Wikipedia article for Walpurgisnacht, and it mentioned that in the circles and the symbols that surround Walpurgisnacht in the fights that we see her in, she has this symbol that I'm going to send to the chat real quick, but my little art that I picked out didn't work, so give me just a second. Has this symbol all around her, like the little part of her dress at the bottom of her design.
The hem?
Sure. Not really. It's like ethereally around her every now and then.
Oh, the halo.
Yeah, and I understand that you all in the YouTube chat can't see this, but you'll be able to look it up in a second. Do you know what that symbol is called?
No.
It's a Tomoe.
What, where is this symbol? I'm sorry.
It's in the Anime Club chat, in the Madoka
The
thread.
Puella, Magi, Madoka, Magica.
Oh, in the Madoka thread of the... Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
It's called a Tomoe, and I just thought that was very interesting. I'm sure there's a lot more to look into there, and I did not have time to do it.
Oh, this is the Sharingan.
The Sharingan looking thing, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean this is the literal design of the Sharingan. This is, I mean, that's what this is. Yeah.
Not exactly, but yes.
I mean, not exactly, but,
yes,
it's very similar.
very
Like,
much so.
The I'm pretty sure the things themselves are called Tomoe.
They might be. I don't know.
That's besides the point. Yeah.
So I just wanted to
always,
share that.
like,
I thought it was interesting.
I always like, I don't know. We're talking about like, well, I never got. I saw the symbolism, or at least I saw that there was like symbols. There's religious symbols, like whether it be Buddhist or Catholic or Judeo-Christian, Abrahamic, whatever. I never really got anything out of those symbols in Madoka. I don't know if Madoka necessarily has a lot to say about those symbols besides, like we brought up before, Evangelion, they're there to be cool. I think we can extrapolate a lot out of it because of the way that Madoka is structured and how she becomes a god. She receives, or not receives, but she attains spiritual enlightenment and becomes god through her own destruction. But I don't know if Madoka is necessarily saying anything about that. I think it is just using the trappings.
Yeah, like I don't think Madoka
it's saying that's
ultimately,
a valuable state to be in.
I don't think Madoka ultimately has any kind of religious message. I don't think it's saying like this philosophy is better or more accurate or can impact your life in a positive way even. I think it's just, I think it is intentionally contrasting different methods of being without saying one is better or more accurate.
Yeah, okay, actually, I do want to say, like, I didn't actually consider it that deeply before, like, James, you now had your, little, I guess that
monologue?
Madoka and religion. It did seem kind of, like, superficial, like, yeah, Madoka's God because she's so, like, nice and caring about everyone. But, like, with Rebellion especially, like, there I feel like it presents kind of like these totally opposite senses of love that can exist, because like Madoka's love is divine, it's caring, it's like, directed to everyone, and like Homura is demonic because she's kind of like obsessed. She only cares about like gratifying her desire, her love for Madoka. That's why she like ends up creating the false reality at the end of that movie.
And I think, like, okay, so, like, that kind of leads me into, like, another thought that I had about, like, specifically Homura Akemi and, like, the nature of, like, her love for Madoka. And it's, like, this idea that, like, there's a lot of takes about, like, Homura's love for Madoka being a selfish endeavor or being, like, something that is not quite correct. And I don't think that's true. Mm-hmm. I think that Homura's love for Madoka shaped her as a person because, like, Homura's love for Madoka was the only thing that was keeping her alive for a time, in a similar way to how like sometimes there's that Tumblr post that keeps floating around, or like a random Twitter post that keeps floating around. It's like sometimes you got to be a little mentally unwell to get mentally well. So and it's like
that's so real.
Yeah, and it's like Homura was in a like. Homura got to the school like when she still had her braids, and I love how like the different versions of Homura, like you can differentiate the exact moment Homura decides to become whatever it takes to like save Madoka. Like that moment is like after she kills Madoka, like after Madoka asks her please kill me, and she does that, and then she takes out her braids. That's so fucking good. Anyway, it's like the nature of Homura's love for Madoka changes her. Like Homura does not change because it might make Madoka love her. She changes because she loves Madoka so much she will become whatever Madoka needs her to become in order to keep Madoka safe, in order to enrich Madoka's life, in order to give to Madoka, in order like she will like sacrifice any piece of herself to give to Madoka. And like the crux of Rebellion is her, like the crux of her decision in Rebellion to pull God down from heaven is to was essentially saying, like, while they were in the labyrinth, she asks Madoka, or like the version of Madoka that exists within the labyrinth, would you make that decision? And the Madoka that exists in the labyrinth doesn't have the full context of everything, and she says, I don't think I would. And in that same way, like, Madoka throughout the show proper does not have the full context that Homura does. Homura loves Madoka completely, but Homura also has like a view of the world and of Madoka that is not the view that Madoka has of herself or the world. And because of this, like, if you pick a side on who is correct in like in Madoka and Homura's situation, it kind of like misses the point a little bit of Homura just loves her. And Madoka, like, when she becomes God, she gains the full context of that love, and she goes and she accepts that love. She says, thank you so much. You are truly my best friend in the world, and I love you, and I will see you again. I love you, I love you, I love you. Mm. Like, it's like this, it's like it's just them saying I love you over and over and over and over and over again, and it's so good.
Mm. I do think that there's something we need to consider, and that is that Homura has a lot of sunk cost in her love for Madoka, which doesn't make it invalid, but it does mean that Homura has been through a shit ton of stuff at this person's expense, and if she decides, for whatever reason, that it wasn't worth it, then her entire life is worth nothing. She cannot not love Madoka.
Yeah. My thing has always been with Madoka, like, I mean, with Homura, rather, I should say. The way that the show goes about showing the time loop is cool. Mm-hmm. I don't buy into these characters at all, though. I do not know them, right? Why does Homura love Madoka so much, right? At a certain point, it becomes sunk cost, right? Mm-hmm. How do we get to that point?
It starts.
We don't know.
Sorry, did you want to keep going?
I was just going to say, we're never shown the way that Homura really is changed by Madoka, like how her life is changed. And I would have liked to see that. I think what these characters represent is good. I think the ideas that, especially like James has presented, right? I agree with them, and I'm on board with them. But just as ideas, not as characters. If that makes sense. I've never bought into Homura, Madoka. I like Sayaka. I like Kyoko enough.
And I think that goes back to Gen Urobuchi's writing in general, because I could say the same thing about Psycho-Pass.
Yes. Well, I would say Psycho-Pass plays into that a lot, yeah, but I would also say Psycho-Pass has a lot more to allow those characters to breathe. Mm-hmm. I mean, the show is longer, right? So that, sure. I mean, by default, you're going to have more time with these characters. The scope of Psycho-Pass is a lot smaller. So we're not thinking about like a bunch of different concepts at once. You can really hone in on interpersonal relationships between like Kogami and Akane, right? Mm-hmm. Between, you know, the rest of the police force. In Madoka, you don't have that. And that's one of the reasons why I've never really bought into Madoka. Like I said, I like it fine. Mm. I just don't think these characters are characters. I think they're concepts and ideas, and those concepts and ideas are good.
I do agree. I agree. I will say I don't think it's that you don't have it. I think it's that it's left implied.
Yeah, I guess that's a better way to put it.
But going back to why Homura loves Madoka so much, I think it's two things, and neither of them really has anything to do with Madoka. First off, the explicit thing we see, which is the improvement of her self-confidence. Homura is the kind of person who doesn't think she's worth anything. She is very much like the Madoka we see in the main timeline. She's timid. She feels that she's average or below average in everything. And meeting Madoka and becoming a magical girl gives her self-confidence. It gives her a place in the world, and it makes her feel loved and accepted. And my second thing, then, is that has nothing to do with Madoka. That has to do with her finding a niche in the world, and that niche is being a magical girl.
Yeah. I have never because I agree with the second point. And I mean I agree with the first point too. It's just my thing is in the original timeline that we see how it all got started, right? What made Madoka special, right?
That Madoka loved
the
her.
one, the what? But yeah, but is it just being she wanted to get to know her and that's what ultimately changed? You see a bunch of her classmates standing around being interested in her, where do you come from, your hair is so pretty, all this type of stuff, and she's shy and timid, yes, obviously, but then Madoka says oh, you should have more self-confidence, and then everything changes, right?
I think
Madoka gives her a love that she is able to digest easier than her classmates being I want to know about you. I want to know more things about you specifically. And Homer's I don't know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But Madoka says Madoka points out a thing that is irrefutable. She says, your name means flame. You flare up passionately. And that's an amazing name. I think that's an amazing name, don't you think? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's in the first timeline. That is the timeline where it's not necessarily that she falls in love with Madoka in that first timeline so much as that is the timeline where she becomes attached to Madoka in particular. Mm. Madoka whisks her away from the overstimulating barrage of questions about herself, and she's specifically to take her to the nurse's office to get the medicine that she needs for her heart because she has a heart condition. Mm-hmm. I feel I think that's very funny, is the idea that she has a heart condition.
She has a literal broken heart.
Essentially solves with magic later. But anyway, what was it again? So she I can form a sentence. So Madoka is special because Madoka is special because she doesn't take a particular special interest in Homura until after Homura has become comfortable with her. Mm-hmm. So she gives Homura a love that she can digest. And Madoka says to her before she dies the first time, becoming a magical girl was worth it to meet you. I'm so glad that I became your friend because I saved you from that witch and we became close. And Homura says when she makes her wish that I want to do everything again, but I want to be strong enough to protect her this time. And that's such a specific wish. And it's not she wants her back. It's she wants to give Madoka the love that she feels she received from Madoka.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the kind of love that is important to this discussion, because how this relationship between Madoka and Homura got started, really got started, is when Madoka and Mami saved Homura from her own despair. And they didn't do that because it was Homura. They did that because she was a person. We go back to...
They were saving someone.
They were saving a person. And that brings us back to the differences in philosophy between Homura and Madoka. Because Homura has this very specific kind of love for Madoka, and Madoka has this very general kind of love for everyone.
The devil, yes.
Mm-hmm. So I think that when you talk about Homura being able to digest this love, I think the fact that it is not specific to her in the beginning is an important part of that. Because she doesn't feel like she has to stand out or to be anything special to deserve Madoka's love, because Madoka loves everyone. It helps play into her self-confidence issues, because she doesn't have to be special. She doesn't have to be important. She doesn't have to be good at anything. She just has to be loved by Madoka. And that is the origin of this obsession, I think.
Jesus.
Jesus.
Is Homura just is Homura just a really fanatical Christian?
I think it's okay, so I do think it is inherently valuable to devote yourself to things outside of yourself. You can't just devote yourself to your own personal betterment, or else you will probably self-destruct. Because suddenly you will see the whole world as your enemy, and that's the thing.
I think that's pessimistic.
No, I mean
not to disagree with your overall point.
You will start to see the world as your enemy, so you have to care about things that are not you and imbue yourself into other things outside of yourself, or to like there's this philosophical concept, like the idea that like to love something is to make its best interests your best interests. Like you are hurt when the best interests of that thing you love are hurt. And in that way, that is why Homura does anything that she does, because like she received this love from Madoka and she could not help but love Madoka in return. But because Homura's perspective on Madoka is different from Madoka's perspective on Homura, she, like, Homura says the specific people in my life are the people in my life, and Madoka is like the most important one to me. And so I will like morph my sense of self around being of service to her. And by the end of the show, she says, I will morph myself in being of service to the values that Madoka embodied. Like that's like Homura's arc throughout the show, is she goes from being like Madoka is the only important thing in this world into Madoka believed that there were things in this world that were deeply important. And even if I don't share that belief, even if she explicitly says this world isn't really worth saving. Like she says that after Madoka's big sacrifice, but she also smiles when Tatsuya like draws the little picture of Madoka in the dirt. She also speaks with Madoka's mother, like just in like a nice, like calm sort of like just a nice, gentle conversation between two people. Mm-hmm. And so like she's over here like, I have to live by these principles because what else is there to do? And she's doing the same thing, but now instead of being in service to a person, she's in service to a value. And that's like the difference. Mm-hmm. And that's cool. And
it's really interesting metaphorically that the things that Homura now symbolically sees as making the world worth saving are the same things that Madoka literally saw as making the world worth saving. Like exactly the same things. Madoka's brother and Madoka's mom, not her own mom. Whom we never see.
Yeah. But wait, I want to ask, so is this the reason why like people generally hate Rebellion, that like it walks back on this and just makes...
That's twice now you've said Rebellion. I'm sorry, Tenek, you're out.
It had to happen.
Oh my god, Tenek. Are you revolting against me? Is this a rebellion?
This is my Madoka, Puella, Magi, Madoka, Magica movie 4.
Movie 4.
Movie 4.
Oh, movie 4 is coming out this year, and I'm so excited.
It's like Community, 3 movies in a movie.
Wait. They're making another Madoka movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because like the ending of Rebellion is very like it's so weird. It's so open-ended. You need.
Yeah, it's so bad that everybody.
Well, you say that like they didn't already make an entire 25 episode spin-off. Like they could have explained this in Magia Record.
But they didn't, because Magia Record was about a bunch of random other girls.
It was eventually about the main girls too. I haven't finished it.
I never watched it.
Nobody did. Why would you? Madoka's perfect and it's over.
Yeah, and it's like, I guess what I mean is like, I loved the ending to Rebellion because, in a way,
That's your one, by the way.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Because it is validating Homer, like, in a way that, like, it essentially expands, like, the scope of what Homura's, like, philosophy even can mean. It's like, I said somewhere in the chat, it's like, if anyone deserves to pull God down from her throne and remake it in the image of the desires of the soul, it is Homura, Kemi. And it's like, what I mean by this is that, like, when she, I guess, consumes the entire universe into the shape that she personally believes is ideal, what she is doing is saying that I have valued the things that Madoka values for so long on the principle that I love her, and she knows, like, better than I do what is and is not lovable. And realize, like, having this experience, like, in the labyrinth has made me realize that what I want for myself and for the world is for Madoka Kaname to exist in it as a person, because Madoka Kaname existing as a person is different from Madoka Kaname existing as a goddess. And I need that person in my life. I need a person in my life that I can speak to, not a force that I just sort of pray to. I need a person that is my friend that I can see physically. This is important to me. This is important to me. And it's like, it's Homura realizing this value is important to her. And it's like the first time she has thought that. And that like really hits for me.
So you're telling me Madoka is Homura's Jesus?
Not really, no. Like,
no. Hold on. Let's explore that.
No.
Okay.
Because
that's not what I'm saying.
Because you have Madoka as an ambient god figure who is not good enough, and Junko so loved the world that she gave her only begotten daughter. We're looking at Junko 316 here. God embodied in flesh is required for humanity to sympathize with the needs of God. Or for God to sympathize with the needs of humanity, vice versa, like however you want to see it.
Except the devil does it instead of...
except that we're looking at more of a Dante point of view here.
I want Madoka Magica, but it's just replace all the characters with the apostles. Just make it literal. Just make Homer a Judas and we'll have a fucking awesome show.
No, Homer has to be Peter. I feel like it's very important.
Homura has to be Peter. Which one is Thomas? Is Sayaka Thomas?
Probably
Sayaka.
Sayaka, yeah, I think.
No. Homura is Peter, you're right. But then who's Judas? We have to have a Judas.
Yeah,
you literally cannot have the Jesus story without a Judas. Jesus doesn't die without Judas.
I just
is Madoka also Judas?
Gonna be about, right?
I just think. Oh no, Madoka is not also Judas. Come on.
No. You can't say that. You can't agree with me there. Those were just words I said that had no thought to them.
No. What if Madoka is Judas, but her magical girl transformation is turning into Jesus? The whole plot is by the end.
This is just my House of Leaves book club all over again, where we eventually just started naming any two characters and saying, but what about those two as Jacob and Esau?
Yeah, right? I mean, we could just do that.
Homura and Madoka as Jacob and Esau. Think about it.
Oh my goodness. Wait. This is... We're just writing fan fiction at this point.
Okay, but let me bring stuff back. I wanted to ask you something, James. So, like, you explained everything about that movie that shall not be named, and, like, at the end, I'm confused. I'm not sure I understand, like, how can you like this movie if it seems like it goes against everything that you said happens to Homura, her character development, at the end of episode 12? Like, it seems like there's just an inexplicable reversion
that I can't quite articulate. That's the value that I find in all art, is the idea that it reflects truths that you can't really articulate in words unless you put it in art, and then maybe if you work backwards, you can get a sentence out of it. Like Monica, like, I don't know why I'm fucking crying right now. It's like, there is something about Homura Akemi going through Madoka Magica being like, I just have to get through this. And when she finally gets to the other side of it, she goes, well, I guess I'm a different person now. And I guess I'm in service to these things now. I guess these are my values now. I guess this is the person that I have become. And then throughout Madoka Magica Rebellion, she goes, if I became a different person there, I can become a different person again. And, like, it's the again that really gets me.
Mm-hmm. Like, I did not watch the movie that we weren't supposed to watch for Anime Club because we weren't supposed to watch it. So it's been a long time since I've seen it. But this idea of having gone through a seemingly insurmountable struggle, like, it reminds me of Camus' Myth of Sisyphus, and I push up my glasses intentionally as I say that, which is a defense mechanism to acknowledge that I sound pretentious. Because if I acknowledge it, then it can't be used against me. But
Well.
I'm thinking about the myth of Sisyphus as I say this. And there's the famous line from the myth of Sisyphus, I almost said it in French just to hammer the point home. But we must imagine that Sisyphus is happy. Because if Sisyphus is not happy while rolling the boulder up and down the hill pointlessly forever, then there is no meaning in existence. And there's no reason not to just die. And Homura, through this pointless struggle forever, is saying, we must imagine Homura is happy. Because when Sisyphus stops being happy, we get Madoka Magica Rebellion. And nobody wanted that movie to exist.
That was a hell of a punchline.
When Sisyphus stops being happy, we get rebellion. And I love what you said about Homura saying, I stopped being happy once, I can stop being happy again. To paraphrase, to twist what you said a little bit.
Okay.
I stopped being happy once. I decided to create happiness from this pursuance of Madoka's values. It did not work. I can decide to be happy doing something else, and that something else is the first thing. It's loving Madoka as a physical person.
Lesbianism.
That's another thing
Also,
that I
I
meant
just
to bring
thought-
up that I haven't yet, which is
yeah.
that I do not see this as romantic love at all. I see it as an intentionally an intentionally exaggerated platonic love. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tom says,
uh,
like I'm a fucking idiot. Go ahead.
I just I wouldn't say that explicitly. I just think with the trappings of the genre of
Mhm.
magical girls, and the general vibes of like, hey, there's tons of Yuri all over the place. It's just not really explicit.
Mhm.
Ha ha ha. Having the two main characters at the end holding each other naked and going, I love you, I love you, I love you, is almost as explicit as you could get.
I think that is
The
intentional.
only more explicit magical girl show that exists, I think, might be Revolutionary Girl Utena.
I think that is
As, like-
intentional, and I understand that read, and I respect it. I see it as an intentional romantic representation of platonic love. I think it is using... I see it, and I don't want to comment on any of the writers or the producers' intentions when they wrote and produced it. But
Yeah.
the way I see it, and the way that I find personally most meaningful to interpret it, is using the language of romantic love to express the importance of platonic relationships. Because the relationship between Homura and Madoka is irreplaceable and inimitable. And I think that presenting that in a platonic way would not get across how vital this relationship is, because I don't think most people can understand that.
Sure. I've always looked at it as more of a, like, not necessarily it's like one-sided. I've always thought of it as one-sided in Homura's case,
Sure.
where she is in love with Madoka, and because Madoka loves everyone,
Mm-hmm.
Homura falls into that category. And so Madoka will use that language of like, yes, I love you. But not to say that Homura doesn't get it, but she just wants something else.
Mm-hmm.
And Madoka does not give her that because she goes off and becomes God.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Man,
So-
God zoned.
Yeah,
I was
like,
fucking
I
apostle
found a
zoned.
While I was at work earlier tonight, I was like, the way to summarize all of Madoka Magica in 2 sentences is Madoka wants to better herself by becoming a magical girl, but Homura knows this is a terrible idea. Second sentence. To square these two things, Madoka becomes God.
I think that if we go back to looking at where the love between Homura and Madoka comes from, I think that Homura falls into a situation that feels like romance, but is actually more akin to obsession. I think that Madoka's love, or Homura's love for Madoka, becomes very need-driven in a way that non-romantic love usually is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it does. It just ties back to what we said about Homura's love earlier. At
Mhm.
least what I said. Like it's like it does seem on the surface like she cares about Madoka, but it's more like caring about Madoka for the sake of herself rather than caring about Madoka for
Idolizing
Madoka.
Madoka. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that that's something that a lot of people have experienced, but not usually with a love that is not romantic. Like, if you have ever been desperate to earn the love of a parent, or desperate for someone to be your friend when they don't seem to be interested anymore, like if you've grown apart, for example,
Yeah.
I think that that's more akin to what's happening here.
I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
absolutely.
There have been plenty of stories where, I mean, not even, I don't have to use stories. There are just real world examples. You can ask people, like, hey, why did such and such not work out? Oh, well, I put them on a pedestal. I wanted to earn their affection, right? I wanted to show them that I was worthy enough. I wanted them to love me. I loved them, right? Whether or not Homura is conflating those feelings with that, who's to say? I don't know. I think it's fun to speculate about, but I think Madoka really wanted to, the series, I should say, not the character. I think Madoka as the series wanted to lean into Yuri trappings. I think they wanted to, and I don't think it's necessarily like a marketing thing. But I mean, this is a thing that people really like out of their magical girl shows.
Sure.
They want to lean into that. They want to play into that. And that's just how it comes off. I don't see either read as wrong.
If you want to say that Madoka respects its place in the canon and the history of the magical girl genre, and part of that history is portraying lesbian relationships in non-explicit ways, then I think that's a totally valid read.
Yeah.
Especially if you looking at this relationship and interpreting it in a way that is romantic, if that is how you get more personal meaning and benefit from watching this show, then go for it. Like, I don't think that there's anything non-valid about that. That is not how I get more personal meaning out of this show. And so I don't see it that way.
Yeah. I think with me specifically, I don't care. I don't give a shit like what type of romantic or platonic love that Homura feels. Like, it's love. Like, I'm not going to make a distinction and be like, oh yeah. Would I say it's romantic over platonic? Yeah, but I'm not, like, it doesn't matter to me. I just, oh good.
No, go on.
I was just gonna say, I just don't think, I don't think in the context of, like, Madoka itself that it is that important.
And
like,
it's
I
not.
don't think, whether or not it is
Scrub has
explicit.
solved it. If we want to turn our attention to the YouTube chat real quick,
They're gay.
Scrub says they're gay,
End of
and I think that
discussion.
we need to
That's it.
consider that.
Absolutely right.
Authority opinion here. Discussion ended.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about something else.
Scrub.
Yes,
always know
let's
what to
talk
say.
about episode 13 real quick, because we haven't mentioned
Oh,
it
the
at
final
all. Being Maguka
Maguka
is
is
suffering.
Being Maguka is suffering.
We have not mentioned Become Maguka one time, and we need to.
I really didn't think we
know-
needed to.
You know, there is one thing I regret not being consistent enough of it. I had an idea before the stream started that I I would not refer to the characters by their actual names. I would just like use the episode 13.
That's
names.
very funny.
That is a
Hamiru.
delightful bit.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I never mentioned Madoka becoming Madoka one time, and that is a big regret of this stream. One legitimate thing I want to talk about is that the music in this show is unmatched.
It's so unique. Like it like you immediately know when a track is from Madoka Magica, and that's great.
And it's so varied too. Like
Yeah.
one thing that I absolutely love about this show is how it reinforces its characters' themes with the music, like how Hamiru's theme is all like echoed and repeating and empty, and it's just the same thing over and over and over again. It's like 3 notes. It's amazing.
I don't think that's it.
Yeah, I really love that theme.
All of the violins in all of Sayaka's music.
Oh.
I mean, we didn't talk about the OPs and EDs. They're
No,
like,
we didn't. I can't not
very
sing it
good.
every time.
I think I like the ED more though.
Well, yeah, of course.
Just-
The horror that dawned in my soul when I realized for the first time that the ED like ends how the progression of the ED, like it ends on like the zoom out of like Madoka, like just like Madoka like in that like curled up in that state,
In an
and
eye
like we
socket.
zoom out, she's inside of an eye. We zoom out further, that's a fucking witch, and she is staring right at me, and it's like so terrifying. I love it.
Oh, that's supposed to be a witch? Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
No, like the
Yeah, like you zoom out further, there's the eye, and then you see the vaguest shape of a face. Like it's
Yeah.
so horrifying. Like it's a horror movie monster situation where it's like vaguest shape of a face. Is that silhouette hair billowing in the darkness? I can't tell the dark from the dark. It's horrifying. I love it.
I always kind of thought it was supposed to be what is the witch's name at the end? Walpurgisnacht? I don't know. Yeah, sure,
Walpurgisnacht.
whatever the fuck it's called. I always thought it was supposed to be her, like she is the eye, because in the last episode, she does have this very like ethereal form, and she looks like an eye. She looks like an all-seeing eye, like looking down at them, and I always kind of thought the eye that was supposed to be pulling back was her, because Madoka is just walking forward and is walking to her coming, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I did
her
interpret it
arrival.
more as being Kriemhild Gretchen, the Madoka witch.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah. I was thinking like I was like, ah yes, Madoka running straight into her doom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
valid read too.
Or just like the concept of a witch.
Oh
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because like,
Also,
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to mention one detail I really liked about the ED is like all the girls, the supporting cast girls, they're all like static except for Homura. She's the only one who like looks back. For
She,
like,
Oh,
like,
they're all
turns
static
and
in the
reaches
sense
for
that they
Madoka,
don't
she
move.
passes her.
yeah, they're just like standing in their position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Well,
thought you meant
you know,
like they're filled with static.
Well, I guess
Which they are.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
No, the ED is obviously literally iconic.
Oh yeah, 1000%.
Not in the modern sense of the word iconic or the modern sense of the word literally.
Also, it's like there's so many references to other magical girl things throughout Madoka Magica, and I just want to point out specifically the moment where Kyoko shatters her own soul gem in order to be with Sayaka in death. Like that is, I love how the ED changes that episode too. Like the ED itself changes in that episode, and that's so cute and lovely to me. Anyway, so when she realizes like, oh, this is definitely not going to work. Homura, get Madoka out of here. I will handle her, I promise. And she like essentially she just goes, she sends up a little prayer, and then she uses every last ounce of her soul to just sort of like engulf Sayaka. Like she says, like, I'm not gonna destroy you in a conventional way, in the way that I usually do other witches. I am going to sacrifice my entire being to releasing you from this cycle that you have buried yourself in. And it's so pretty and beautiful to me. And also, I feel like it is a reference to Sailor Moon S when Sailor Moon rips her heart out of her body just to get through this energy field that Sailor Saturn is inside of. It's so fucking. Sailor Moon rips her heart out of her body and uses it as like a drill or like a cudgel or something in order to push through this energy field so that she can save Sailor Saturn, because Sailor Saturn means so much to Chibiusa, and that's so beautiful and I love it, and it just reminded me of it so hard. And it's especially funny because that season emphasizes so much that Sailor Moon is the Messiah. Literally, she is. And I like that.
I do have one quick question about that. What the fuck? Sailor Moon does what?
She rips her heart out of her chest. It is symbolically this little like crystal star. She like rips her heart out of her chest, like her pure heart, the crystal star that has been pulled out of many people throughout this season, and then put back, and she like just rips her own heart out, which she didn't even know she could do. And but she just like, she feels so deeply and she wants this to happen so badly, she will do literally anything to make it happen. And so she uses her own heart to push through this dark energy field, which should fucking kill her. Like, everyone's like, Sailor Moon, don't do it, you can't do this. And she's like, no, I will save her, I will do it, I will do it. And then she does. And it's great.
Sure.
Sure. We're on episode 9.
What? We didn't talk about any episodes.
A bunch of stuff.
We didn't do it in order.
We're not doing it in order?
The moment where
Okay.
Kyoko did that thing that reminded me of Sailor Moon, because I feel like it's emotionally important to me. And also, I don't want to bring up any of the Revolutionary Girl Utsuna references because those are spoilers.
Kyuri, we have 5 minutes left until we need to start picking our picks for next time. So I'm going to let you have the floor. What do you want to talk about?
Okay. So I'm just going to talk about how the viewing experience kind of changes on a rewatch, just because you have the context for Homura.
Classic
and what
example,
she's doing. It's just like, if you just watch Homura's actions like the first time, it's just so difficult to like. It's not really difficult necessarily, but you don't really know what's going on with her. And then like in episode 4, you start seeing some cracks in like what she's talking about, specifically when she's around Madoka, because she's just like, wow, mommy, you are mommy,
you are mommy.
My bad. But it's just I love seeing her be like, mommy will be remembered by you. I envy that. And it takes like on the first viewing it's just because like she doesn't have self-worth, but on the second viewing it's because Madoka has forgotten her every single time, and it's just she's lamenting that she will never really mean that to Madoka, like at least in her mind, because you know we have the series ending and then Madoka remembers everything. But,
yeah, she's like, even when I get out of here, Madoka's not going to remember the loops that I went through before this.
Which never hit me, but nobody remembers Madoka at the end.
Yep.
Shit, right? Every now and then you think of you think of a series that you love dearly and that you've examined to death and that you've made 2 whole YouTube videos about, and you're like, obvious thing.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And then,
I'm an idiot.
Like, yeah, it's like if you just look at Homura's interactions and then like really think about like what she's saying, and she's saying it with the full context of what she's been through. Like, when Sayaka is like, "You're lying" in episode 8 because Homer's trying to save her, and then she's like, "Wow, you're actually right. I don't really care about you, but if you don't do anything, you're going to hurt Madoka, and that means a lot to me." And Sayaka's just like, "What? Wait, what?" And then Homura just straight up threatens her, and Sayaka just doesn't have any knowledge of like what the hell is going on, but she can see that Homura is telling the truth, and she's probably gonna do something about it, you know? So it's just I love viewing the series through that lens, just like what is Homura trying to do here, and like what is she actually saying when she's talking about things? Or
I
like,
love how much precision talking past each other and doublespeak goes on throughout Madoka Magica.
yeah.
Mhm.
Also, episode 2, when Madoka asks Homura, "What was your wish?" and she stops and turns, directly looking at Madoka, and Madoka has no idea what that look means.
Mhm.
But she's saying, "I did all of this for you."
What the fuck
And
do
she
you
can't
mean?
say
What
it.
was my wish?
Like, I did everything that I have done ever for you. Well, not ever, but like that's all that she has left. She's lost everything, and she's just doing it because she has to save Madoka, and I just love that.
She's
I love
doing it
Homura.
because she has to do it. It's not even about
Yeah.
Madoka anymore.
Like, if she gives up, that means she wasted her life for nothing.
Mm-hmm. She
And
wasted.
so
she
she
wasted the best 3 years of her 14th year of life.
Yeah. Yeah. She just.
You're only
Like, she gave up her
14 like
soul.
39 times.
Yeah. Gen Urobuchi confirmed that it was about 100 times.
Whoa.
But that. Which means that.
Not just the
Homura
Madoka
is
thing,
old.
but can you imagine going through your sophomore year of high school 106 times?
I
Dude,
think I would have killed
fucking
myself.
no.
Even if you like, I think the torture isn't having to watch your girlfriend die 106 times.
Holy shit.
It's learning.
no.
It's learning basic integrals again.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I
didn't
know,
learn
I know.
anything.
It's 2x plus c. I know. I fucking know.
I have a theory that, like, because we see that Homura gets the questions wrong the first time,
Mhm.
but when we see her at the beginning of the series, like, she writes it down like precision every time.
Yep.
I don't think she actually knows what she's writing.
She
I
just
think
memorized
is
it. 'Cause
writing.
She's been through it so
Yeah.
many times.
It's just like, I know what this question is. I know what the answer is. It doesn't fucking matter.
It's
I'm
negative
just
b
gonna
plus
write
or
it.
minus the square root of 4ac over 2a. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
That's what the shape of that looks like.
I know. All right,
Who
we are at
cares?
145. I did want to bring up something funny that I saw that's not directly Madoka related, but people keep mentioning Faust. And I saw a hilarious tweet one time that was just, I was walking along minding my business when a man named Mr. Beast offered me $1 million to do a task.
Oh no. Oh, no.
And I said yes, because the
Oh,
state of
no?
literature education in this country sure is something. All right. As next month is Pride Month, regardless of what any specific man says, we are going to have a theme for our picks. I will not be selecting a pick myself, as there are 4 people here who aren't me, and the YouTube poll system only allows 4 options. The theme for next month is anything that could conceivably be connected to a rainbow in any way. It's rainbow theme, however you want to interpret that. But before we get into that, while I give you a moment to think, Tenek, a pride theme? No, of course not. Scrub, what do you mean? It's rainbow
I'm very proud
theme.
of this rainbow theme.
As is tradition, Tenek, what is your final rating for Puella Magi Madoka Magica?
I think so. I rated it an 8 the first time I watched it like 6 years ago. I haven't changed that. I think my opinion now is like a strong 7 to a light 8. I think, well, as you said like previously, I think in a video, not necessarily on this stream, like it's just a very well tightly written show. It's a good story. Like the characters are interesting. I especially love, we didn't mention this detail, but like Madoka doesn't become a magical girl until like the very end. And like the show is like great in part because of that. And also I think another thing we didn't mention, I'll just say now, like fantastic art direction. Really love all the like weird styles for the labyrinths,
Unmatched.
especially in movie 3. That's it.
All right, Curie?
I am of 2 minds because, like, one part of me is giving it a 9 because, like, the way I rate things, I typically rate on enjoyment, and it's not exactly like my cup. Like it's not exactly everything I want in an anime. So like it's basically there. So it's a 9, but the other half is like 10 because it is also like favorite anime in that regard too. So
Sure.
yeah, 9 or 10 essentially.
As for me, my official rating is a 9 out of 10. That is just as high as I go. You do not get higher than a 9 out of 10. Freerun has a 9.5. But I will say, my gut says closer to an 8 now. There are a lot of problems with it that I have only seen because I've seen the show 15 times.
Real.
And that is why I
I've seen it, like,
refuse to
20.
change my rating. I have seen it too many times to change my rating now. I have become desensitized to a lot of the amazing things that Madoka has done, and they don't seem as incredible as they are because I've seen the show 15 times.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I
don't
will
know
never
what
change
it's
my
called.
rating because I have seen it too much. But my vibe now is
Real.
probably closer to an 8. Jams.
All right. I remember distinctly rating Zom 100 like a 9 out of 10, and I'm saying this because I believe Madoka Magica is better constructed on a technical level than Zom 100, but also, and also it has objectively, I think, affected my personal life harder than Zom 100 has. So I'm over here like, do I give it a 10 out of 10? I don't think I do, so I'm going to give it a 9.5.
And Tom.
Don't like it as much as everybody else, but still fantastic show. It's really good. I give it a 7. I actually dropped it after episode 3 on my first watch through. This is my third go around. Yeah.
That's a huge bomb to be dropping at the end of this.
Well, I dropped it. Hey, you want to know another bomb? Everybody said don't spoil yourself. Spoiled myself on the entirety of the series before even trying to watch it. I was like, yep, this is what I want to do.
No,
but,
that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm finally going through the 7th season of My Hero Academia, and something incredibly spoilerific just happened. And I really just want to look it up and see if it sticks, because I'm saying, like, there's no way this is gonna remain true. There's no way that there's not some kind of trick. There are so many ways they could undo this incredibly, like, important thing. And I just want to look it up, because if they don't undo it, then I want to have the appropriate emotional reaction.
Is it with Mr. Explodey Man? Is it with?
I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not going to say who is involved.
Bakugo, you problem child.
Yeah. Oh God,
but
I love him so much.
something that I should be having an enormous emotional reaction to has happened, and I'm not having it because I'm certain that they're going to undo it.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
Anyway.
But yeah, I actually, my score for this went up. It went from a 6 to a 7.
Wonderful.
I liked it more on. Well, also it's been several years since I've watched it, but hey,
Wait,
good show.
but just to be clear, so like this is this month is the first time you've actually seen the show to completion.
No. There was the first initial watch through. I dropped it at episode 3. I then went back and watched it because I was doing a watch through of a bunch of Akiyuki Shimbo shows. And obviously I wasn't going to skip this. And then this is I guess my second full time around, but my third time watch.
All right. Has everyone had time to think about what rainbow themed anime they'd like to propose for next month?
Yes,
All right, Tenek, what you got?
I have the perfect nomination for June. Wonder Egg Priority.
Again.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah, that counts. You
Is
got a
it
little
finally time?
Now is the time. Third time's the charm.
Isn't this like the 9th time it's been up? I feel like I've proposed it 3 times.
Hold up, let me check.
I remember at least 4.
We will get there eventually.
Eventually.
All right,
believe
Yuri.
us.
Is it alright to drop kind of a nuke?
Yeah, of course.
What is it?
Is it Yuri on Ice?
No. I'm Cyberpunk Edgerunners just because like all the colors.
Come on, man.
Oh no. Oh no.
How is that
No,
rainbow
you're gonna
themed?
Make me rewatch Edge Runners.
Have you seen anything from Cyberpunk Edgerunners?
No.
Or
It's very highly saturated. It's got a lot of like color effects. It's giving Spider-Verse.
Jams, you are
Yeah,
the one who said we're doing vaguely rainbow themed. Does it count?
Hmm.
You can just.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. I don't think having a color palette that is very saturated and colorful counts as rainbow themed. Like, in the sense of what are priority, I can connect to rainbows in the sense of like, commonly magical girls are color coded, and also she's got her little clicky like multicolored pen that turns into her weapon, and I'm like, yeah, that's rainbow. And then also the enemies turn into paint a lot of the time, so like that counts as rainbow themed. And like the thought that I had when I put this up was Bukaku City Actors, where each character has like a color that is associated with them specifically. And like there's a lot of like paint associated. Like the opening has a lot of like spray painting imagery and like a lot of like multicolors. So I don't necessarily think the saturated and varied colors existing in there counts.
Okay, fair.
Scrub, I don't know why you're bringing this up, that everyone is bisexual in Cyberpunk Edgerunners, because the theme of next month is rainbow themed. It has nothing to do with that kind of depravity.
But the bisexual flag is only 3 colors.
Which is not rainbow themed at all. Jams,
Lucy's hair is rainbow colored.
Jams, what's your pick?
No.
Okay. Well, I said that it would be Bukaku City Actors. But also, Tom, you said you wanted to just sort of
you can pick that if you want. I do have another show, but if you want to pick that, so by all means.
I'm nominating Bukaku City Actors.
Madoka City Actors.
It's Mecha Q City.
Mecha Q City.
Yes.
MEKAKU City.
Madoka
Dude, that
City
show,
Actors.
oh my god. I hope it wins. It probably won't. That show is what the inside of my fucking brain looks like. It's so fucking visually awesome.
I love it.
Tom, what's your pick?
What was my pick? Hold on, I have to look at it again. Because it was a show that I randomly found. It's called Gift Eternal Rainbow.
Ah,
All right.
that's very rainbow themed.
Yeah,
It has
nobody
never
can
seen it
dispute that one.
Never seen it before. Literally just looked up rainbow on now and this popped up.
Kyuri,
do I need to use a backup, by the way? Or...
Yep. Kyuri, what do you got for us?
Okay.
I want Wonder Egg Priority to have a chance.
Okay. I was considering Bloom Into You, but
Okay.
I feel like if,
I don't see what's rainbow themed about Bloom Into You.
Okay. Gotcha.
Bloom
okay.
like flowers. Flowers
Which are
bloom
colorful.
from sunlight. Yeah.
Sunlight, right. Sunlight and
Is-
rain.
Yeah, sunlight makes rainbows.
Yeah. Come on, guys.
Sunlight and water, they make rainbows. Sunlight and water make the flowers grow. Flowers are
Okay.
multicolored.
Is Adachi and Shimamura gonna count?
Adachi
because-
and who?
Adachi and Shimamura.
Adachi and Shimamura. I haven't seen that one in a while. I don't remember if it's rainbow themed.
Okay, got it. Oh, fuck.
But we can do Bloom Into You. I think that there's been a
Okay.
case made.
Yeah, the case has been made enough.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Bloom Into
Wait,
You.
what's the
Okay.
case? How is it rainbow?
Okay, sure.
Because rain and sunlight are both needed to grow flowers inside a person.
Mhm.
And rain and sunlight both make rainbows.
Mhm.
Therefore,
Yes.
it is a rainbow-themed anime.
Therefore.
I
mean-
this time.
I mean, also the thing with Bloom Into You is that it's more popular, but Adachi and Shimamura isn't really as popular. But it, like, there's like constant like, cuts to like Adachi or Shimura's headspace, and it is constantly covered by rainbows. So, but
I see.
that's
Well,
again a visual thing.
I
but-
think we've put too much work into justifying Bloom into you.
Okay,
course,
got it.
of
Quadus
We'll
demonstrandum.
do Bloom to you.
All right.
Okay.
So, for next month, for our rainbow-themed anime club, we have Wonder Egg Priority with color-coded characters, Bloom Into You with the flower thing, Makaku City Actors, which I have never heard of one time, and
Oh,
Gift
God.
Eternal Rainbow, which has rainbow in the name. All right, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed our little discussion here today. I certainly did. Come by next month. We'll be talking about one of those shows. If you would like to get in on this Discord call yourself, you can go to patreon.com/explanationpoint, link in the description. Or if you just want to support the channel a little bit, all I ask is that you think for a minute about whether or not my channel has provided enough enjoyment to you to give me $1. And if you decide no, that's fine. If you decide yes, but you can't right now, that's also fine. Just think about it. And hopefully we'll see you in the Discord, or in this call, or in some other way that lets you show your appreciation to this channel. Thank you all so much for coming. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. Did you all have a good time?
I had a great
Yeah.
time.
Great.
Even though
I wish I didn't miss most of it.
Yeah? See, they all had so much fun. Don't you want to have fun as well? All right. Bye, everybody. I'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. Gooby, bye.